dang.
Oh, hi. We're here.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there, guys.
Welcome. This is StonesThrow Cities Beneath. This is our prologue show. StonesThrow Cities Beneath is a Dungeons & Dragons live play show featuring all these fantastic people. If you haven't gotten a chance to meet them yet, a good thing for you to do later, not right now, is go back and watch the character reveal stream that we did 13 days ago. That's also on our StonesThrow RPG YouTube channel. But today, we're giving you a sneak peek because what we did is, as we prepared to go live with our premiere episode on January 8th, we wanted to take the time to make sure our group works really well together. We know our characters really well. We know what we're doing and why really well, so that as soon as we start this show and we start telling stories, that you have a really good experience experiencing our tale. So we played, actually, I have found out as I have gone through all of these videos, 14 hours, actually more like 15 or 16 hours of D&D for this campaign prior to even starting. And you're going to get some video footage from that. You're going to get some images that we saw as reference images, and you're going to get some commentary from the cast and crew as we go through all that. But before we start, since quite a few people watching may be new, I would love to go around and have everyone introduce yourself really briefly, give the one-liner of who you are, what you do, and who you play in the show, starting with the Dungeon Master, Nate.
Oh, God. Why?
Because I like you.
Aw, okay. Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm the Dungeon Master of this game.
And Nate is a musician and
I do other stuff.
Internet personality.
Yeah, you could say that.
Nate, who do you tag to go next?
Oh, we're doing popcorn?
Mm-hmm.
Popcorn Rachel.
God, I was like, what are the odds? Wow, it's me. Class, I prepared this speech where I am an esports host and I host esports tournaments, and my name is Rachel, but I play Lacan in the show. He is a fighter and he is a human with a burger background. And I tag
Christasia.
Oh, I like that. I'm already fusing with my character because I'm going to take over her identity actually. But in the meantime, I'm Christina. I'm a sit-down comedian and writer, and I play Cassia Fistula. She's a halfling wizard. And I tag... Oh.
I hate this because I feel like it's like when the teacher calls on us and we're like, don't make eye contact. But I'm looking at the screen. What's up, guys? My name's Bo. I'm a musician. I'm an actor, and I play Kadal, the Dragonborn and Kuatoa monk.
Yes, and there should be commands in chat where if you type one of those character names, you can also see that information as well as the character sheet for each of those characters, if it's working. Another thing I wanted to say is part of the reason that we are doing these two streams, the character reveal stream and the prologue stream, is that we're trying to do quite a lot of stuff production-wise, and we are a very small independent crew, so we wanted to make sure that we had everything ready before we go live for the premiere. So we appreciate your patience with any technical difficulties we have and with testing things as we go. Oh, Nate wants to battle put commands in chat, and it doesn't do anything, and I don't know why. I don't think that's a command that you can tell Streamlabs to do. Anyways, let's get started with our prologue shot. How about that? I did want to give a shout out. You saw in the beginning carousel there some fan art that people have already been making, cosplay, drawing. We even had an animatic today, which we didn't feature in the carousel, but that was amazing. So thank you to everyone who's already drawing fan art. And if you want to see even more of that fan art and discussion, or you want to contribute some of your own fan art, don't forget to join our Discord, which there should be popping up in chat, a reminder to join the Discord. All right, now we're going to start with a video clip. Nate's story that he's built for us takes place in a far future Underdark that he has homebrewed himself. So let's hear about his Underdark in this video clip.
Oh. the sky fell. That's all anyone knows about why the world went underground. No true reason, no true cause, only legends and rumors of how everything ended up in the Underdark. As time goes on, details of history become more faded and muddled as the Underdark's harsh environment had forced its ancient refugees to focus on collaboration and survival. At least 100 years later, some semblance of society has been established.
Nate, anything to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it.
Great. Well, I wanted to point out there was another part of the episode as we went through where Nate was kind of describing what it's like in the Underdark and what portions of the day are like. Because one of the things that Nate and I talked about when he was like, I want to do it in the Underdark, because I was like, that sounds dark and gloomy and sad. And so he was like, well, actually, this Underdark is going to be kind of bioluminescent, and there are going to be different phases of the day. So we're going to be pulling up, I believe we have images of daylight, moonlight, and morning. So let's see if we can I think we have daylight coming up first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Nate, tell us about what it's like in the Underdark with the light down there.
So there is a day-night cycle that is pretty similar to what most people and players and species would be most familiar with, most acquainted with. The cause for that cycle is not currently known. It might be a lore reason, or it might just be the characters themselves just don't actually know yet, but maybe they will. But for the most part, there is this Underdark's own version of day, night, evening, morning, etc. The picture right now on screen is somewhat of a kind of dawn morning situation. So there is a light source. It's also like not known specifically what the light source is. It's not like other worlds or even ours where you can just pinpoint like, oh, it's the bright, ball in the sky. This light just sort of seems to happen on its own. Here we see a more like kind of evening setting. But aside from the day-night cycle and whatever it is that illuminates what to them is the sky, or I guess just the up, there is a lot of bioluminescence, a lot of like glowing, like fungus, mushrooms, plants, possibly some critters, some who knows. But yeah, for the most part, it's got kind of this glowy vibe. Yeah, kind of same thing here. Depending on where you go, this is the kind of various types of lighting that you'll see. But this is the overall vibe. It's not all, doom and gloom, dark all the time, but it is like different shades of daylight. Whereas we're used to like, just whitish, yellow, bright light all the time. Maybe sometimes days are a little more like cooler leaning.
Nate, I have a question for you.
Amazing. Go.
I don't know if I asked this or if we ever talked about this, but how do the people of the Underdark tell time? Like, do they tell time the same way that people do, the way we do originally with the sun, and just following like the sun as our time and shadows and everything? Or is there like a way that the Underdark tells time?
It would probably be, I don't have that particular detail worked out, but it is specific enough to where like it's narrowed down to things like hours and things, that kind of telling time.
Like
so it can get pretty specific. Like shadows is probably shadows, and also like where the current day-night cycle is. It's pretty consistent, so it's pretty dependable.
Is it like the daylight just is a consistent color when it changes, and it's like, okay, well, it's lavender, so it's obviously 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's basically based on, rather than basing it on Yeah, shadow position wouldn't make sense because it's not, as far as you can tell, like a moving light source. So
Right.
time is more based on like shade and brightness, color,
cool.
things like that.
Yeah, like contrast of color and stuff. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we talked a little bit about in the character reveal show was it's been a long time since all creatures came down into the Underdark, and there's been a lot of, family history that has to do with creatures that hung out in the Underdark all the time. So each of us has an Underdarkling background. So, for example, my character Luna is a Drow, but she has Myconid heritage, meaning her Drow ancestors came here. The Myconids also, they intermingled, and so she has just a little bit of characteristics of Myconids. So Nate has built this very vibrant world, and he also showed us immediately this map of Raynor, the area. Tell us about Raynor, Nate.
Well, Raynor is where the focus of the story is currently. It's where all of the characters in this party are from. It's where they all met. And more or less, up until a certain point, most people don't leave the city, or the prefecture, rather. So it's mostly staying, because it's a known thing that the outside environment is pretty rough, and it's not just based on, word of mouth. Like, there's things from outside occasionally get in, and it's, it's exposed overhead. They don't have a roof over the whole city, and things in the Underdark, some of them can fly. So it's just kind of like, oh yeah, stuff's pretty rough out there. So, we'll just stick to where it's safe unless there's a reason to go out there. So the image on screen is the map I kind of mocked up. Not everything is to scale, but it's to give a pretty good rundown, a visual breakdown of what to expect. Within the prefecture, there's different districts, which, it's way more details. If we zoom in here, though, you can see that basically, like, in the center, there's a huge condensed amount of buildings, of rooftops. That's kind of the, like, Raynor proper, if you want to call it that, the central downtown. That's where most people are. That's where most business are. That's kind of where most things happen. And then, as kind of like in, real cities, as you go outward, away from central, things start to spread out a little bit. Things can, like, maybe get a little bit quieter. Depending on where you are, you'll be in a different district that has a different focus. So yeah, like this one up here, up to the north of the major city with all of this kind of lighter area. These are the farmlands. So you can see that there's a much lower population, but there's a lot more room. This is obviously where farming, crops, things like that happen. And yeah, depending on where you go, yeah. So depending on where you go, that's where you're gonna, find different things. Like this, where we're zoomed in now, is actually what did I name it? It's more or less where the kind of the higher ups are. There, it's like a little higher income. It's some of the more political, higher power figures of the city. Yeah, so that's kind of where a lot of the, like, power is.
And each of our characters came from a specific area, which we did talk about on our previous stream, but just as a little update, let's go around and say, for example, my character Luna is from the Glowwood, which doesn't make any sense because nobody's supposed to go in the Glowwood. And how did she go there and how did she come back? She doesn't remember. So weird. Bo, what about your character?
Haha. Kadal was raised and grew up in the military area under Commander Zarns, or as he calls him, Master Zarns. And because Zarns raised him as a apprentice, and they kind of just have that relationship. But most of his life has been in the military area.
What about you, Rachel?
Well, we were just looking at our area, the peaks, where I believe Nate was saying the best people in Rainier live. I find that to be true.
Great.
At least in the extremely local area.
All right, and Christina?
I'm from the farm, the farmlands where the best pumpkins come from.
Great. All right. Now that kind of constitutes the setting, but Nate did kind of give us a rundown of the beginning lore, why we're here, what we're doing. So if we have that video ready, let's watch that right now.
Of prefectures exist in the Underdark, ranging from high-functioning, well-established cities to more treacherous and unlawful villages and everything in between. You all live in the prefecture of Raynor, a major city that's part of what's known as the Cooperative. The Cooperative is an alliance of some of the most powerful major prefectures in the Underdark, with the goal in mind of peace and survival. While the Cooperative has been in a rather long period of peace, there's always at least a hint of tension and paranoia in the back of everyone's mind. Since when you live in a dangerous and mysterious realm such as the Underdark, there's always at least the slightest chance that something can go wrong. A custom of all the prefectures that are in the Cooperative is that all citizens will serve in the military in a window of whatever 20 to 40% of their species' expected lifespan is. So normally it would be like 8 years, 20 to 40, but for some species that's not ideal. So if your species typically lives to 200, then it would be more like if you're between 40 and 80 years old, et cetera, et cetera. And they are expected to serve for what's called a mission. Many citizens, after serving their mission, continue to do so, whether it's for the thrill of exploration or just the honor of contributing to society staying together. You all find yourselves in the Order Under, which is the military district, as you are all setting up to go into training before receiving your first mission. Missions can range from a number of things, but most of them have to do with leaving the walls of this prefecture, Raynor, which most likely none of you have ever done. It's exciting, it's scary. You've only heard about what could be out there and maybe seen hints of it throughout your life.
So I was muted. So that's us. We are cadets in the Order Under, and we don't have an official insignia yet, but Nate kind of described to us what our military insignia looked like, and it is a fist holding a broken sword, which we have just a silhouette of so far, but we will be designing that further, and that I believe will be kind of like on a shield that we will see on uniforms and things. But speaking of uniforms, we have our amazing artist Kayla, who made our character designs that you saw in the character reveal stream. She actually put our characters in uniform, in their Order Under uniforms, which I guess you get from your reactions you guys haven't seen. So let's look at those right now.
You didn't tell us this. Like, you told us this, but
Let's
then,
see it.
there was a million things going on, and I can't believe this happened. Oh, my God,
whoops.
Kaylee, you're
Okay,
amazing.
just kidding. Production doesn't have those either. So
Well, now-
if you want to see
What a
them,
tease.
guess you're gonna have to go to our social media where it's at.
On my way.
Probably I made it and didn't link it. No, I did. It's right there. Anyway, whatever. If we can't find it, I'll post it again later. Don't worry. So that was kind of the very beginning, setting the stage, and now we're gonna get into the videos where we actually started playing. And I just needed to save this one very special moment as someone who, if you've watched me play D&D over these 13 or so years that I've been live streaming D&D, you know that it is, oh, there it is. Nope, just kidding. Not there yet. You know that it is very common that I do not roll well. And I just wanted to show you some first rolls of this campaign.
I got a 2, as befits the beginning of real play for me.
I got
And
a whopping 1.
Nice.
Bo's first roll of the entire campaign was a natural 1.
Number 1, baby.
Oh, I'm so
Set the
proud.
bar.
A D&D player in my
Amazing.
own image.
Yeah, like Anna set you up, huh?
Yeah.
So fitting of a Padawan of Anna's that, like, you know, Anna's like, I'll roll a 2 to start things off, and Bo's like, hold my beer.
She kept the tradition alive. I carried the torch.
I sometimes feel like a 1 is better than a 2. Like a 2 is like, wow, you just kind of sucked and nothing spectacular happens. But a 1 is like, you failed and
Yeah,
it will
it's like-
change things. You
It's
know?
like it's a perfect fail.
Yeah,
The 2 is like, well, you're almost there.
yeah.
I do want to return to a point I made at the earlier stream, though, when we revealed our characters, and that Bo is a shonen hero. You start from 0 and
You're
you
so
go
right.
to 20. And if anything, that's our boy, guys.
Dude, that's so great that you mentioned that, because I just started rewatching Naruto and I'm like, man, he's got it bad. Like a doll. So we're taking it. We're taking this.
All right, and we're gonna watch some more video of the characters actually entering. I don't know why I put this first in the run of show, but first I want to show you our roommate. Probably because I was so excited to show you who our roommate is. Some of you who have been fans of some of our D&D shows in the past may recognize this character. All of our characters live together with this guy. Nate, who's that?
Oh, that is a little Kenku druid named Pluck, who, I mean, who knows if who or what this is, but in the past I did have on another show a Kenku druid named Pluck, and he is great, and I feel like I didn't get to play him enough, so I put him in here, and how he exists in this world, I will figure out later.
Unfortunately, Pluck only makes a couple appearances in the videos that we have for today, just because there was so much, but Nate's Pluck voice is one of my favorites, and Pluck actually communicates as a Kenku by imitating sounds that he has heard from other people, but he also kind of just has built himself like a Scottish accent. Nate, is that right?
Mm-hmm. And so it was my little loophole of how do I make a Kenku talk. So lore-wise, he just spent enough time with someone to mimic enough sounds to have somewhat of a vocabulary.
Great. All right. So, as far as setting the scene, in the next few videos, you won't see Pluck. Pluck hasn't arrived yet as our roommate, but these are the official entrances of each of the characters as they entered the room. I believe we rolled for what order we were going to come in on, or Rachel volunteered to go first, as she is Lacan, the fighter. Nope. Well, anyway, Lacan came in first, so let's watch that video.
Oh, into the small 15 by 15 foot space, you hear, and the door slings open and slams against the wall. And then it bounces off the wall, and the guy catches it again very easily and slams it back against the wall as he enters. Just absolutely disgusted by the quality of the space. He knew that military was going to be low and dirty and not at all luxurious, but how truly disgusting and pathetic this space is. And to think that the soldiers would start here. He's already kind of pissed off and in a shit mood over it all. And so he's going to... Is there any window in this room? Is there any more desirable corner than the rest?
There is, in fact, a window.
Got it. So, if the DM permits, my character would... Very strong character, fighter character. Strong guy, beautiful guy. He's going to pick up the top bunk from one of the sides, place it under the window right along that back wall, and then shove the other 2 bunks as close to the door to give himself like a kind of singular space. And he's gonna plunk his pack down, not on the bed. That's disgusting. He puts that on bathroom floors. Why would he put that on the place where he's gonna sleep? He puts it on the floor at the foot of his bed and just starts gently and carefully unpacking whatever he's been permitted to bring.
What you're bringing is going to be pretty minimal. Most of the necessities are going to be provided. So it's more or less like if there's anything personal, whether it be like, memorabilia, knickknacks, things like that,
whatever, like square, cubic, whatever, he's packed it to the gills with just like a little bit ostentatious, a little bit extreme practicality, a little like espresso kind of coffee maker, like a roll out of knife utensil kind of thing, a little doily for the end table. I don't know. It's nice. It looks nice. Like if somebody walked in the room, they'd be like, "Wow, that's kind of nice."
Wow, that's kind of nice.
That's,
This
what
is
a
so
jerk.
I love that.
You brought an espresso machine. That's so funny.
I love the idea of someone just walking by our room and being like, "Oh, it's kind of nice," and just like walking on.
When you think about the state of the rest of the room, I think that it's nice really sets it apart.
Yep.
It's kind of giving me like, if you're familiar with the New Girl, it's giving me Schmidt vibes.
Oh my god.
This is unacceptable. No. And then like setting everything out perfectly, and then a doily for the table.
But in like the snottiest way too. Like
Yeah,
you'd be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, that's kind of like frilly lady," and you'd be like, "Shut up! A man needs a doily. You want to put the
Yeah.
mug directly on the wood, you animal."
Oh, like freaking was it Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist? Does anyone remember? Right. Well, it's like him. I love that. I love it.
I like the Schmidt reference. It's a really good illustration.
Schmidt and Lacan definitely have some things in common for sure.
Don't make fun of my doily. It's from Japan.
But he would like pronounce it wrong. Yeah. He'd be like, "Don't make fun of my doily. It's from Japan.
Delay.
It's from
The
me
doily
home."
actually became quite a thing. I don't know how many made it into these clips, but we talked about that doily a lot in that episode.
Men
understand
can't
why.
enjoy anything. I don't.
No, it was that every other person complimented the doily. But anyways, Lacan comes in, moves everything around, makes Lacan space, and then the next person to enter is Cassia. Let's watch Cassia enter.
The farmland where I'm very used to orderly. I'm even having the vision of all of the crops in their rows as they're supposed to be. This bothers me, but also I'm 3 feet tall. So I'm going to keep that to myself for right now. And probably take the very first bed that I see, even if it is right near the door. I think she thinks about introducing herself, was probably really excited to come in and make a bunch of friends, but at the moment is surprised at how nervous she feels seeing somebody who's could probably crush her with their fist. I think she starts unpacking her very small little burlap sack that she brought, and as she dumps it out, a few little seeds fall out on the bed, and she's, "Oh god, I don't want anyone to see that." Just kind of brushes them off onto the floor where people still could see them, but... And I definitely like your doily. I just don't want you to know that I like it yet.
I'm telling you, the doily really, it set the tone.
When I heard it in the video, I did the same action. I was like, "Oh."
It's so funny too because I mentioned this in the last stream, but this is really my first like official D&D game ever. So when I'm like, Cassia's nervous, and not Christina at all, I'm not, but Cassia, she's quite nervous. Like, now I just want to talk like Schmidt.
Oh, it's creative though, because I think Anna mentioned this in the last show, but right away you brought out like the seeds and you introduced something that would again like be mentioned and kind of commented on and become a really important transaction later on.
I don't know,
Speaking
Rachel. I'm
of
so
which-
glad. Oh no.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just you set the tone. That's like you set the bar really high, and that helped a lot.
True. I would agree. I also, Christina, you do such a good job of just narrating the moment. And every time in these videos, I feel like every time you speak, even like rewatching them, I'm so captured by this again, and I'm reliving the whole thing again for the first time. It's so fun.
I feel the same way about all of you.
I think this cast, I mean, it's very clear as I've gone through all of these videos, each person in the cast does something that a next person in the cast builds on and yes ands, and it's just warms my heart. But speaking of the seeds and what the next character did with them, Luna enters next. Let's watch that video.
With lavender hair and kind of pale skin with weird multicolored kind of features and eyes that are pretty but like in an unsettling way. They don't quite look normal. Depends on which contacts I choose when they get here, but they might either look like washed out, like one color, or they might be kind of like cat shaped almost, but they just don't look like how you would expect someone's eyes to look. And she kind of walks in with like a very smooth gait that's also a little unnatural. And she's like kind of touching things as she walks by, like she's testing everything and trying to learn. And she'll immediately see the seeds on the floor and get down on her hands and knees and pick one up and be examining it. And then ask, "What's this?"
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Well, that's a future loaf of bread you're holding right there.
A future loaf of bread.
Yeah, it's wheat.
Wheat. Will it grow here?
Wheat. I don't know. I have to explore a little bit. Are we allowed to grow things? I don't know. I actually brought that by accident, but you can keep it if you want.
Me?
Yeah.
What do I do with it?
Well,
Should I plant it under my bed?
Yeah, you could plant it wherever you want. Or sometimes my grandpappy keeps seeds in his pockets just for luck.
Oh. Will it turn into bread in my pocket?
No, but, it's food for thought, isn't it?
Do thoughts eat?
No, but they can be quite nourishing. I'm
She looks-
Cassia, by the way. Cassia Fistula.
Hello, my name's Luna. She doesn't shake your hand or move or anything. She just says her name's Luna.
I'm really embarrassed that you didn't shake my hand, so I play it so cool.
Using only one hand because she's carefully holding the seed that she's been giving, she climbs up into the top bunk in a very, like, not the usual human way you would expect. Like, she pulls her knees too high as she climbs up, and it's, like, a little bit unnatural. And then she kind of, like, sits in the back of her bunk in shadow a little bit, so all you see is, like, the glinting of her eyes, and she just considers her seed, and you hear her whisper, "Food for thought. Food."
It's just so precious.
It's so
There's
funny.
so much.
That is such good interaction, man. So funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
those
I'm
are the
excited.
questions. Oh,
I'm excited for what Luna is going to teach me because I honestly don't know where she's coming from yet, and that usually means I need to learn something about myself from her. So,
no.
but that said, I want to move right along to when our final roommate enters. Let's see Kadal come in the room.
I saw Rachel's character knock the door in and then catch it and then walk in. He's standing and staring at our bunk room from a distance, holding his duffel and wearing like a typical monk garb. 6'5", 250-pound, draconic with blue scale skin and catfish whiskers, kind of shaking a little bit, really nervous, goes, okay. So he walks to the door, trying to imitate what Rachel's character does or did. He hits the door really hard. The door slams open, but then it slams back too fast and just shuts immediately while he's still outside. He goes, damn it. And gently grabs the door handle softly. And like he's like fairly tall, so he kind of like bends over, and with his big hand, he kind of like with 3 fingers grabs the door handle and slowly opens it and opens the door softly again and goes, sorry about that. And then turns around and softly shuts the door and looks at everyone, just scans the room and like in a panic mode looks for the nearest bed that's closest to the door. He takes the nearest that is the bottom bunk too, but he barely kind of fits in it. So then he like is sitting kind of like proper, but the top bunk is still like against his like the upper back. So he's like awkwardly leaning forward with kind of like a tech neck. And he's looking around at everyone, and everyone's just kind of staring at him. And he sees the setup in the corner in the back and says, it's a nice doily you have there.
See, they see it and they're like, "That's nice."
I'm telling you, they're like,
I-
"That's nice."
I totally forgot that even happened.
Yeah, we should like make the doily into a flag. like it's like our
That should be
mascot
our
right
logo,
now.
yeah.
Our troop insignia should be the doily.
The doily.
But Kadal, Kadal is so immediately endearing because it was so, like you said, everyone just kind of like played off what the last person put down, and I'm like, what's left? What will Kadal do? And then I was like, oh, he's adorable. He's holding a mirror up to all of us.
Oh.
He's the most beautiful boy of all.
Rachel and Anna, well, all 3 of you guys, but because I didn't realize that you guys were going to go so into detail. Rachel being the first person and was so detailed and so articulate about what was happening with every step. And then same with even Cassia walked in and had this whole scenario played out. And then Anna, you're doing all this stuff. I'm getting really nervous listening to everyone make these stories. So like you guys kept setting the bar higher and higher for me. And I'm like, what? Okay, well, this is going to go terribly. And so unfortunately for Kadal, he had the door slammed in his face.
But like he was trying. And that's like so good. He's always he's trying. It's so sweet.
I'm really discovering that I'm definitely going to be pulling. I'm afraid to be projecting onto Kadal, but I feel like there's a lot of similarities between us.
All right, and the last little clip from our entry montage is just called Luna Weird Lacan Snob. Let's watch it. Perched on kind of the side of her bed like this, and like her eyes are really big, and she's just staring at you with no expression and blinking, just with interest.
And my character is just stares back.
When you compliment my character's doily, he just kind of glances back over his shoulder and he's like, I'm glad someone here can recognize quality. That actually sounded like Lacan was paying a compliment. Yeah, he is snob.
It's so
but
funny.
he's our snob.
Yeah.
I do have word from production that we do now have the image that Kayla Klein has made of our characters in uniform. So here's the big reveal: the Order
Why
Under
aren't-
Cadets
Oh my,
wearing their uniforms.
Bro!
oh my god, they look so good.
And these were actually thoughtfully designed by Nate, because I was like, Nate, we have these characters, they have these really cool designs. I want everyone to be able to kind of cosplay their character's outfit without having to be in a completely uniform. And so he designed this kind of hood capelet thing that everyone wears over their own garments, which I thought was very, very fun. So good job, Nate. Good job, Kayla, as always.
So sick.
I also appreciated, Nate, that part of your thought was, yeah, they're not going to waste a whole uniform on you guys. Like, if you survive, maybe, but
I forgot about that.
Oh, we got a scrap uniform. Oh, good.
I mean, that's one way to look at it. I looked at it as like you still get to fully customize your character's outfit, but still have some semblance of, you know, unification. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, also like as far as lore wise, technically, yes, the higher ranks get full uniforms and not just an accessory.
The Doyleist and the Watsonian explanations both hold up.
All right, so you've met all of the characters, you've met our roommate, and now knowing that we're in the military, of course, there are going to be some of our superiors that we need to meet. So the next video clip will introduce you to Marlowe. Let's watch it.
Is an individual with pretty pale skin, white, like messy hair, with what looks to be kind of like a headband over his forehead going around his head with this kind of mess of white hair poking out over top of it. You can tell by his attire that he seems to be someone that's probably of significant ranking in the military. He says to you, everyone, my name is Lieutenant Marlowe. I'm going to be looking over you. You are Troop B-84. When you hear that, you answer.
So that's us, Troop B-84. Anything you want to add about Marlowe at this point, Nate?
Yeah, he's cool. He's like really cool. I didn't say it, but he has an eye patch too.
Cool. Is it
Yeah.
Marlowe with an E at the end?
No, it's with a, I believe it's a W. Oh wait, no, it's nothing. It's just Mar-L-O.
Oh, wow. I have been spelling it wrong multiple different ways. All right, Lieutenant Marlowe. Great. Or Lieutenant. Lieutenant?
Lieutenant Marlowe.
Lieutenant Marlowe. Great. Marlowe is kind of our babysitter. And then above Marlowe is our general. Let's meet our general in this next clip.
Probably 8 foot tall elephant man. In what looks to be one of the most decked out military uniforms that you've seen on anybody. Based on their garments, you believe this is the general of the entire military district. Everyone's at attention as this already large looming elephant person stands up on a table like they need to be a little higher. He clears his throat. Says, Cadets, I am General Reginald Basterfield. I am here to show face. And I say, and I know for some of you, it may be your first eve here. Yes, at the over-under. One of the majors you see leans in and goes, it's the order under, sir. Right, the order under. An elephant's known to forget. For some of you, it may be your first eve here. For others, it is not. And for others, it is very not, as it is your last eve here, before you set out on first mission at first light. Your missions will be as follows. And he takes out a piece of paper which looks comically tiny in his giant hands. It says, B-35, reconnaissance.
That us?
B-36, removal. B-37, removal. B-38, removal. B-39, removal. And B-40, retrieval. You see him look at the paper. He looks back at some of the other decorated officers in the room. Very well then. Thank you all for your dedication, for Raina and for the cooperative. At ease and good night.
Nate, tell us a little bit more about Basterfield.
He is also awesome. He's, as a lot of people in chat already know, he's a Loxodon. He's an elephant person. He is a highly decorated general here in the Underdark, part of the alliance that Raynor is a part of. He's very, very fun. He's very, very fun to portray because he's just kind of just an animated. Oh yeah, there's a picture of him using some online resources. There's like miniature 3D mock-ups of them. So that is General Reginald Basterfield.
And that's thanks to HeroForge.com. We made them there. So thanks, HeroForge, for your free resources.
Not sponsored yet.
Nope, not at all. Now, after that happens, after Basterfield comes in, gives that set of orders, our crew ends up in training. And this is actually something genius that Nate did, because we do have a couple newer players in our midst. And part of what we wanted to do with the prologue is take some time to practice playing Dungeons and Dragons so that when we were on the show, we wouldn't have too much downtime learning how to do things, which I think that it's totally fine not to know the rules of D&D. I don't know all the rules of D&D, and I've been doing this a really long time, but we just wanted to make sure we knew where to look and take the time to do that. So I think that Nate's training arc montage turned out to be one of the coolest ways I've ever seen someone teach D&D, and I wish I could just show you the whole thing. Maybe at some point I will. But we, I guess, Nate, how would you describe the training that you put us through?
Well, basically, with there being new players in this, I wanted to try and make learning part of the actual storytelling. To make it a little bit more immersive, make it stick a little bit, because it's so easy to be like, okay, here's how you play. You get an action, you get movement, you get a bonus action, you get a react, blah, blah. But rather than, do it like that, I wanted to give it a more like almost like modern Zelda Breath of the Wild, more like a tutorial island kind of feel, where it's like actually an entire like story arc is learning. So it's like, oh, a sort of training montage makes sense. So a lot of it was on my end, a lot of predetermined actions, roles, things that were going to happen. Kind of like that happens in a lot of video games. Like you enter the first battle and they're explaining it to you, and you kind of know exactly what's going to happen, but it's a very controlled environment in which to test out these different elements of combat.
And we fought ice slush doppelgangers of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. They were simulacrum.
Right. Players, what do you remember from that? Any highlights of the actual training fighting that you wanted to share?
I just thought it was like so cool to, as one of the new players to this, I thought it was so cool because it really was such a smooth tutorial in how combat works, how interacting with each other and just playing with other people while we're doing the combat works. And for me, I thought that it was really fun. Everything just felt cinematic, and the way that Nate was describing things happening felt really cinematic. Again, one of my favorite moments was when Christina was describing when she had to face the ice doppelganger, and how freaking hilarious it was to me. But I felt like it was a really fun opportunity to learn how Kadal operated on the battlefield and how we can communicate to each other during that. Because it's like a very foreign thing to me. And the way that people described D&D back in the day for me, I was like, I don't understand. So you guys just like talk about what's happening and you roll dice and do you have hit points? And like, I don't understand. It doesn't sound very fun. It doesn't sound exciting. But then actually being put into it like that and the way it was described felt so much. It was so much fun, and it just felt like the training montage in Mulan.
Yes.
Someone was just comparing it to that in chat too.
And I just want to say how cool it is, like, to hear, you know, you and Christina both talk about your experiences as like coming into this kind of new, but both with like acting backgrounds and really creative backgrounds. Because I think a lot of people that I talk to now, where I'm like, hey, I play D&D, I really love it. They're like, oh, I kind of missed the boat. I never got into it. I don't know how to start. And it is, I mean, both of you are a testament to not only like how easily you can jump in with the right patient DM, but really like how crazy things can get. Because already I'm really glad we're doing this looking back show, like really hit the ground running with some wild scenarios that I think were only possible because you guys were so not beaten down by the idea of what D&D had to be. You were always just bringing like new, fresh ideas to the table. So all that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like I always need permission to know where's the threshold or where's the standard and how do I meet that? How do I take it to the next level? And I'm never really sure of it, but you guys gave me so much freedom. And I think that this specific arc was the moment that was really helpful for me to feel free in the creativity of combat in this, because you could just say, I attack this thing, roll and whatever, but we actually got to get creative with it. And I thought that was a really cool way to hit the ground running. And I feel like this was the moment that I was starting to feel like, okay, this is what people get excited about D&D about, like, or at least this section of the D&D construct and the mechanics of it. It makes it so fun. And so I think that hearing Anna and Rachel talking about or like going through their turns, it made it easier to understand how it works, how we communicate, and gave me the freedom to start exploring the creativity of the collaborative story writing, even when it's just in combat.
That's a really nice way to say I was screwing up too. So like, yeah, I'm learning also.
Yeah. We really hit new game on this story.
Yeah, and I thought it was like, oh no, okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Go.
No, I hate it. Never mind.
The panic.
No, I'm sorry that I keep interrupting.
No, it's just we're on the same wavelength. There's
We
like
are.
a certain point in silence where we're both like, now I'll talk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I have a memory less about what happened during the training and more of the feeling, where I was looking at this character sheet and there's all these like spells and things that I didn't know, and I'm like, why did I choose to be a wizard and I can't read and there are numbers, like what am I supposed to do? And then once we got into it and started like actually taking these turns and like rolling the dice, it felt like someone had handed me, like, I thought I was gonna go to this training and get handed like a BB gun, and instead someone handed me a bazooka. Like, I didn't realize like how like powerful some of the spells were and how like destructive they could be. And it was so interesting because both, like, I don't think Cassia would have thought about that, but I definitely was like, oh dang, it's like you have to decide what you're gonna do with that. Like, what are the limits? Because you can really just like really hurt somebody.
And hurt somebody you did. But
And
we'll
yeah.
get to that later. Now, I just wanted to show you two more characters from training. We had specifically a trainer for kind of the physical combat and a trainer for the magical combat. So let's first pull up Copperlight, as in Major Warkes Copperlight.
Nate, can you tell us about Copperlight?
I sure can, because I have a sheet that has all of the information that there is to portray about Copperlight, and it's definitely right in front of me. For sure. Where is it? This is crazy, bro.
Well, I can tell you the Copperlight is Dwergar,
Mm-hmm.
and that Copperlight looks like
Yes.
that.
Yes. That is okay, there we go. Yep. So yeah, I forgot that there were nicknames you hadn't heard yet. But Major Warkez StonesThrow Copperlight.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Dwergar, he's another major. He's fun. Out of all of the like decorated individuals, he's definitely one of the most like kind of lighthearted, least serious, but in the way that while Marlowe's not serious and that there's like kind of a reluctance to all this, like Copperlight's just he's just kind of there for vibes and he's just trying to have fun.
And he was the physical trainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. During the combat, the like tutorial training montage, there was a point where melee and casters were separated. And even though it was a sequential combat, it was more the camera cutting back and forth between these different types of players playing against types of opponents that like complemented them more. So the casters were, while the casters were fighting the simulacrum, the melee players were fighting a Dwergar, who one of the abilities is that they can like grow in size and strength. So this little Underdark dwarf just becomes this like 8 to 10 foot tall just behemoth and is just like, all right, come at me. And that's how they got to practice swinging weapons.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When Dwergar transform like that, do they Hulk out the way that the Hulk hulks out, where all that's left is his pants? Or do they have to have special clothing, specifically like Dwergar clothing?
We'll say that because Dwergar were already, because Dwergar are one of the major species incorporated into the Underdarkling, meaning that they were here before a lot of other people, a lot of other species, that the technology, for lack of a better word, for, we'll say, spandex for this ability, like pre-exists. So it's like if that is part of your, if that's part of your arsenal, then your outfit would accommodate that.
So it's not like they had to go to Edna mode and be like, all right, I grow.
I did it again.
Yeah.
Also, we haven't encountered the spell enlarge yet, but that would answer the question.
Mm.
Speaking of spells, our magical trainer was Avery Armstrong, Major Avery Armstrong. Let's take a look at Lieutenant Armstrong, Major Armstrong. Nate, tell us about Armstrong. Different vibe.
Very different vibe. Yeah, definitely definitely most straightforward, most serious, isn't here to play, just very like to the point. It's like, all right, we got shit to do. So like, just a very, very plain and straight character, but also very fun. That is Major Avery AA Armstrong, because she's AA. And as of now, there's not much to her.
Except that she's very, very strict and serious and mean.
Mm-hmm. And based on people with a little more experience, I mean, this is the person who is using a simulacrum spell to train, trainees. So that in itself lends you to believe that she's very, very powerful spellcaster. Like she's very strong. And like, that's another fun thing about a lot of these NPCs is that they've only really fought in the context of like training, and what they're truly capable of like has yet to be seen, at least by this party.
So, our next clip is actually going to be post-training, where all of the characters went to the mess hall and discussed their impressions of training and what's been going on and things like that. And it's a very long clip, so it's kind of going to constitute our mid-show break. So I wanted to take a second to answer some of the questions that I see in chat before we do that. I've got a lot of questions about the show itself and what it's going to be like. If you have just joined us or you weren't here at the very beginning, this is the prologue show, meaning this is kind of a review of all of the game that we've played so far in preparation for the game to begin next week on January 8th, which will be our premiere. But we've played about 14 to 16 hours of this game already, just trying to make sure that we're really prepared. So that's what we're showing you. We're showing you clips, we're showing you images, we're telling you a little bit about what we've done so far, just in case you want the insight going into the first episode. You won't need it. You can still enjoy the show without it going into the first episode, but that's what this is. The show itself is going to be 2-hour episodes. It's going to be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. We're going to stream it live on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Anna Prosser, and it's going to be on YouTube at StonesThrow RPG. We are going to have the VODs available after the fact, so if you can't make that stream time, don't worry. You can watch the video on demand on YouTube only on StonesThrow RPG. People are asking a little bit about what the game is going to be like. You can also watch our previous video on StonesThrow RPG, the character reveal stream, where we talk a little bit about the system we're going to be using, what that gameplay is going to be like. Someone mentioned, is it going to be theater of the mind, or are we going to be able to see the battle map? At this point, we haven't used a battle map yet. We may in the future, but right now it's mostly theater of the mind and images to help you imagine things. Let's see. I'm making sure that I didn't miss any questions, but if I did, we'll get to them when we come back. So now please enjoy hanging out with our characters as they chit-chat in the mess hall after training.
That's again together at dinner in the mess hall. You've been at daily training and you have completed your first week. As you are given your mid-slop as your nice little reward for the day.
We're already sitting down?
Yeah.
And I'm reading and eating and ignoring you all.
This batch is pretty good to me.
Really good. Yeah. Love this stuff. Every day. How was your training?
Luna was the star today. Did you? I've actually never seen anything like it. She got Armstrong.
Wait, was that what that sound was?
Did it sound like a terrifying cackle from the beyond that kind of made your heart want to like rip open?
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, almost evil, but it was amazing.
Wow.
I'm funny.
You are funny, Luna. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you have to do today? Kadal.
I just trained with Master Zarns. But I gotta be honest, I think I was keeping up. It felt really good.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Did you make him laugh?
No,
Oh, that's too bad.
I guess. Now come to think of it, I don't think I've ever heard him laugh.
Do
Hey,
you
how'd
want
you
me
get
to
her to-
make him laugh?
Is that what you did to make Armstrong laugh?
I
It-
use magic.
We should talk later about something to do with making Master Zarns laugh.
Okay.
Sounds kind of fun.
I think I'm energized by the conversation, and I'm all tiny, but I scoot up next to Rachel's character. We still don't know his name
No one's asked.
until now. So, teammate number 4 over here. What'd you get into today? I nudge her like this, but it's like basically like getting tickled on your little rib.
What, me? What? Are you talking to me?
Well, I would call you by your name, but you haven't told us yet.
To be fair, none of you have asked.
Damn,
Okay,
you're right.
what is your name? Because I've been trying to guess, and I think like maybe like Rodrigo, Barney.
I think it's Book.
Are we close?
That's a good guess.
Lacan tries not to laugh, but he's also thinking of when Luna made the captain laugh, and he's like, oh, she's pretty funny. He heaves like a big dramatic teen boy sigh, barely looks up from his book and goes, my name is Lacan.
Oh, that's not at all like Book.
No, it's not.
Lacan. Our teammate Lacan. That's so wonderful.
Yes, Cassia, isn't it wonderful?
I'm feeling good.
knows your name.
Are we friends, Luna? Would you think? Forgot about cake.
Where's is? He's silent. He's also vague. He's my guy.
You have not seen him in training.
Huh. Do you think he has his own special mission?
Let's say, I've hardly been the most mysterious of our roommates anyway. Who knows where he's been?
He didn't tell you? I thought you two were kind of...
Yes, I would say we're friendlier than most, if for no other reason than he's the only one who gives me the privacy and space that I require, and I try to do the same for him.
Why do you require privacy?
Well, Luna, I don't know much about the strange glowwood that you claim to have come from, but where I grew up, we all had space and privacy, and it was considered for the animals, excuse me, Cassia, to be living on top of each other in these barn-like dorms.
That sounds lonely.
Lonely is wonderful. Do you not like to be lonely, Luna?
No.
How nice for you here, then.
I'll ignore you from now on. Seems like that's what you want.
Very kind of you. Thank you, Luna.
You're welcome. I mean...
Yeah, I mean,
I'm laughing. Like, Lacan is like just kind of chuckling again into the book, but he doesn't want anybody to see.
I'm pretty offended by the barn joke.
I'm really excited just to be here because this is my first group of people I've been able to spend ample amount of time with. So I'm just kind of like just watching everyone converse and eating my mid schlarp.
Okay. In an effort to recover from that barn comment, which is kind of a little bit of it's definitely struck a nerve. I say, Kadal, what about you? What was your life like growing up? Do you like to be alone as well, or are we allowed to talk to you?
Oh, you can talk to me. I just, growing up, was not talking to a lot of people.
Purpose?
No. Maybe. I was just like spent most of my time training with Master Zarns, so I didn't really get a lot of opportunities to spend time around my other co-students.
You started training pretty young, huh?
Oh yeah, that's kind of just all I've done. So, so you can count on me, I guess.
That's good. I'm glad you're on our team. What else do you like to do, though?
What else is there?
Luna, do you have hobbies? Anything?
I like to sing, and I like to jump. And sometimes I commune with the forest.
Luna,
She likes to jump.
where are you actually from?
The Glowwood.
Okay, but like, yeah, but like, where are you actually from?
Well, I guess, to be honest, I don't really remember. But that's where I remember being last.
What's it
You
like?
actually went to the Glowwood?
Well, technically, I came from the Glowwood, I think. Do you remember ever going to the Glowwood?
No, we're not. I mean, I don't know if you guys know
I've
this.
only read about it in books. And even the books were mostly like, we have no idea.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's if it's even a real place.
I mean, I know it's like a real place, but Master's Orange told me that it's prohibited to go over there. Just
Whoops.
to even be around it. Whoops. Wait. Are you real? You spend time over there?
Well, I think so. Everything's kind of fuzzy before. But I remember the forest and I remember the sounds. And, you know, like the way that you kind of hear everybody at once and yet nobody at the same time.
Wait, what?
And then I say into your head like this in telepathy.
Oh my god.
What was that?
Ah.
You don't hear the no. I was hoping there were songs out here, but I guess not.
Songs? Has Kadal ever experienced like telepathy like that before?
Maybe not super often, but that is a trait for Underdarklings with Myconid ancestry. It was jarring, the fact that it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Hmm.
I didn't know
so
you could do that, Luna.
Can't you do that?
That was so jarring and shocking for me. I thought that someone was like coming from behind, and I spun around real quick thinking that I was under attack, and like got up, knocked the whole bench over, and kind of like stood up really big, like I was braced and ready to defend myself.
I think I was probably sitting next to you, so I like flew off the bench. I go, wee!
And it's like a whole bench, so all the other cadets too are like thrown off, and it gets a little quiet, and like everything, like all the silverware and stuff just falls, and I'm like, so sorry.
You hear from across the dining hall, says, "They're a problem over there."
No, sir. I just just such good mid slurp.
It's especially oily today, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, is that what it is?
really. It's good because you feel greasy on your skin after.
Right. Agreed. To the grease. As he just kind of copper-like chugs a bowl.
Yeah. Guys, I'm so sorry. And I like pick up there's like people with their legs still like hanging on like the edge of the bench that's laying. I kind of like pick it up from behind me, and they're like hanging there and falling off the bench as I set it up right. I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry. So sorry.
The other trainees just sort of pick up their stuff and kind of glare at you and find their way to different tables.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, they're gonna, oh my God, everyone, I cannot just be normal. But also, what was that in my head?
That was my voice.
Can you?
Luna, the only other person I've ever known who can do that was my grandma, and I thought, wow.
I'm like your grandma?
Yeah, but oh,
Can you read my mind?
Let me see.
No, I take it back. I take it back.
Oh,
Hey, it's fine.
okay.
Honestly, hey, don't even worry about it. I just, please don't.
It's just
Wait.
so quiet here. Nobody sings in my mind.
Yo, keep
oh.
going. I just have to pee real quick, but carry on.
Sings in your,
Hmm.
So, you said that you remember the last time you remember, or you were at the Glowwood last
Yeah.
thing?
I was outside the Glowwood, and then everyone was like, "Wow, how'd you get here?" And I said, "I don't know." And they said I couldn't go back in, which was fine because I think I'm supposed to do something out here.
When
Like-
was this?
Huh?
When did this happen to you?
Oh, I don't know. We have to ask Nate.
Oh.
Waiting for
A
the adult to come back.
while.
Oh, huh. Well,
How long ago do you remember?
wow, that's actually a really good question. I guess, when does one start remembering? You know?
I remember being in the fields as a little kid. I mean, littler than this even. You can believe it.
Shortly after the mirror stage, following the dawn of language on your psyche.
What exactly? That's what I was gonna say.
What's a psyche?
Hmm. Interesting question from you, Luna.
Wait,
Aren't you in their heads, messing around with their little psyches all day?
Are you
Oh,
doing
is that what a psyche is? The voice in your head?
Perhaps.
Nate, how long ago did I come out of the Glowwood?
About 6 months.
we don't
6
know.
months.
Oh,
So you're still new here.
Well, maybe.
And this is either an above board or an in character question, but
Sure.
is there a post box in the Glowwood that you received your draft notice in, or how were you perhaps summoned to the barracks?
Oh no, I see. I was in the Glowwood, and then I was outside the Glowwood, and then they were like, "Hey, you have to serve your mission," and I was like, okay."
I just accept. I'm
Interesting.
okay. Cool. Lacan, are you gonna finish your mid slurp?
No. And I just push it across the table to Kadal.
I just. Oh yeah, mid slurp.
Kadal, where are you from?
I'm from this province. I just kind of, I was raised in the training grounds by Master Zarn. So.
Oh, Master Zarn's your dad?
No, well, I mean, I guess he's kind of like my dad, but he just kind of he took me in. So, yeah, I'd say he's kind of like my dad.
It's nice that you can train with your dad.
I really respect him. I mean, he's just kind of, you know, he's really cool. But, you know, it's kind of hard to he's the closest thing I had to a friend and a family. So that's about it.
Only one friend and one family?
Yeah, well, I just didn't have I didn't spend a lot of time with any other students.
Why?
There were no other kids around?
No, there were. I just we train I would be a part of training for a while, but I don't know. I just sort of ended up getting. I had to have like private training with him, and I kind of just got pulled away every once in a while, all the time.
That sounds lonely too.
Yeah, but it's nice being with you guys. You're kind of my first friends.
That is an honor.
No, it's pleasure's all mine.
Welcome back. That was our mess hall chit chat after training. Did you guys remember all that chit chat? Is there anything that you want to share now that you have seen that again after probably a couple months?
Well, now that I've watched Dandadan, I would also say I'm getting mega Okarun vibes off Kadal as well. He's like, you're my first friends. So precious.
Totally. Yeah, I didn't remember that scene, so it's funny to look back and be like, oh my god, what is he doing? Like, he's all making a fool of himself and then just running his mouth like that.
But also mystery. There's mystery. You were like, I got pulled away like every once in a while, every single day. Every once in a while. It was a lot. Like, what is it? What does it mean? I want to know. I wish I had asked more follow-up questions in the moment.
We'll get the chance, I'm sure.
First thing next week. Hey, Kadal. Remember, like,
Remember all that
one time we
time?
were in the mess hall?
I was just thinking about that one time in the mess hall.
He loves that mid-schlong.
Well, here's the point in the prologue show where we kind of transition into plot, because everything before, like we said, was a little bit of a, like in a video game when you're just getting started and you're kind of learning the controls and learning the characters and everything. And then right about here is where we switch to actually kind of learning the story about where we are, why we're here, what the mysteries are. And before we get into our next clip, Kadal mentioned Zarns. Is it Zarnus? Zarns?
It is technically Zarnus.
Zarnus.
Fantastic.
Let's take a look at Zarnus as we discuss who Zarnus is. Nate, you start, and then we'll have Bo give a little bit of his thoughts too.
For sure. There he is right there. Major Albith Giller Whale Zarnus.
Giller Whale?
Yep.
You haven't told us these nicknames before.
No, and it's also kind of something where it's like, I don't think it will ever come up in context because they don't actually use nicknames unless it's just them. And I don't know, they're just fun things that don't have a lot of consequence on the story as it is. But yeah, Major Zarnus is a Triton with Kuotoa background. So he is also fish person, but kind of where he's mostly Triton in that Kuotoa are like fish people leaning more fish, and Triton are like leaning more, almost more human. He has the most kind of background, most connection with one of the characters, that being Kadal, in that, as Bo was saying earlier, Kadal was kind of raised in the military district, spent most of his life there, and Zarnus has the kind of most connection to him, like looked after him a lot, gave him a lot of his training. In the training arc we did, Kadal's training specifically was one-on-one with Zarnus. There's previous connections, so there's kind of a little bit more in some of the, I don't know if any of the clips convey this, but Zarnus kind of shows a little bit of leeway, you could say, like the relationship, even though it is a superior and a cadet, you can tell that sometimes that line gets a little bit more blurred because there is history between the two of them. And that's kind of the gist of them.
Bo, you have anything to add about your dad?
The dad that stepped up. Yeah, well, I don't know what all I should or can reveal about the history between Kadal and Zarns, but when Kadal was young, he didn't have his mom, and he knew his dad briefly, but then his dad disappeared after a specific incident happened in the Order Under. And so being orphaned, Zarnas already knew Kadal and his family beforehand, and so when Kadal became an orphan, Zarnas took him into his training, which he was already planning on doing in the first place. And something that was kind of briefly mentioned, or actually Nate just mentioned it, Zarnas takes Kadal to special training, and there's kind of like, while he was growing up, there was this misunderstanding with Kadal and the other kids or younglings that were training in the Order Under, where they thought that Kadal was getting special treatment because he was just the favorite, but Kadal thought that he was consistently in trouble, or he was being isolated because of something that was wrong with him. And so he never really got to have many relationships with his peers. So he was kind of isolated, and anytime he tried to have the opportunity to spend with the other young soldiers, we'll say, or warriors, they didn't want to make time for him, and he just didn't have a lot of free time to begin with. So he was pretty close to Zarnas because he was the only one that he could really build a relationship with as deep as they have.
So that kind of sets up our next clip, because what happens in the mess hall after that is there's an announcement that's a little bit unsettling, which is that all of the groups that got set out on their missions, most of them didn't come back. And one person that we were fairly close to, I mean, we had just met, but we were cadets and we built a friendship with them. They didn't come back. And someone brought us back their knife. And we didn't even realize we were kind of the closest friends this person had. So it was very, very unsettling. So we are trying to figure out what's going on, and no one's really giving us any information. So we urge Kadal to go ask Zarnas, because we're like, if you have a special connection, maybe he'll tell you what's going on, because nobody's telling us. So that's what this next clip is. Let's check it out.
As well as I do that, I'm technically not at liberty to share information outside of a need-to-know basis.
Yeah, but these are our friends. Can you give us something, sir?
Can I have you roll persuasion at advantage, in that your background with him is making it a little harder for him to just stay by the books?
19. 10.
19. Kind of sighs. He puts his head down. He looks to you and says, 22 were sent on that removal mission last week. 3 made it back. 2 of those 3 were severely wounded and still haven't recovered. The 3rd was General Basterfield himself, who barely made it. The fact that he's attending and he's having a rough time with these missions has everybody concerned. You already heard, but they tripled the amount of troops being sent. In my opinion, I don't think that's going to do it.
If Basterfield can't do it, what makes you think a bunch of people who have only been here for a week are going to be able to do anything?
They've been here for longer than a week, but I can't say I disagree. It wasn't my call.
What was it? What happened? Did Basterfield tell you anything?
I wasn't part of the mission, so I wasn't given the exact details. Typically I am, but because the general led the helm on this one, even most of us majors are in the dark.
The captain sent a bunch of kids to go fight something he couldn't even handle, and now they're going to send more of them? What is this? Do you have any idea?
From what I've heard, from what I understand, something has been lurking about just outside of Raynor, and it's been interfering with anybody setting out on mission. It's almost like it's waiting for anyone to leave.
What can we do? We have to do something. I mean, it's our home.
I think all we can do is try to do better.
I was really confident that they were going to be okay. They trained with you.
Sometimes your life is what you have to offer for the greater good.
We can't just do better. We can't do better if we don't know what to do. Sorry, sir.
If it were my call, maybe I'd agree with you. Maybe I'd do something different. All I have are my orders. All we have are orders. And once we start defying that, it's how all of this, he like gestures as you're outside. He points towards the inner wall. He points towards the skyline of the dimly lit mountains with housing on them. Points towards the interstate. He says, all of this falls apart.
We got to get stronger. I don't want to let my friends down. I don't want to lose my friends. I just got them. I don't know.
He says, I'll see you in the morning, Kadal. As he sort of walks away and just kind of leaves you alone in the dark of night.
Nice, sir.
You hear another voice from behind you. He says, you two are more than major and cadet, aren't you? As you turn and see, kind of lurking behind a doorway, almost always in a doorway apparently, is Lieutenant Marlowe.
Lieutenant Marlowe, sir. Sorry, I didn't see you there.
Oh, that was the idea.
Very good.
Seem pretty willing to give you some special insight. It's not normally available to someone of your rank. He walks next to you, but he's still like just kind of looking at the door where he just watched Zarnus enter. How long have you two known each other?
Kind of most of my life, sir.
So you'd say you know him probably better than anyone else here.
Maybe.
And then why don't you tell me about what you know of him in his off hours? And when he says that, I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
4.
Okay. At that question, you feel this compulsion to answer that question to the best of your ability.
He took me in after I lost my dad, and he's kind of like a older brother dad figure to me, sir.
And he says to you, give some thought as you set out on these missions and as you learn more about this place. Be sure to assess what the real threat is. As he begins to walk toward the door, and he says, don't tell anyone we had this chat. Kadal, you know as well as I do that I'm technically not at liberty to share information outside of a need-to-know basis.
Yeah, but these are our friends. Can you give us something, sir?
Bo, thoughts after that?
I just caught myself having the same feelings I had in that moment, and I caught myself looking. I looked at my camera and went, it saw me like actually cringing at certain moments. Like that was so good, man. I feel like that was the moment that, for me, above board, that was the moment that made me feel like I was really locked in with this story, and that is the first time I really took my own freedom and kind of tried to play with what was happening. And man, I don't know, I got so emotional. I remember feeling that emotion, and then hearing the discussion about what was happening, about sending cadets into this thing that our tank can't even carry. So I don't know, just like rehearing that, it was bringing me those feelings again, which is really exciting to know that like we got to make that moment together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Kadal brings that information back. After we all end up in our room, we come up with this bright idea. We're like, you know what? Whatever people came back, we know they were injured, so they must be in the infirmary. And we can just go talk to those people and ask them what happened. Surely they will tell us, even though no one else will. This seems totally logical. So let's go to the infirmary and ask these people. So our next video clip is us trying to go to the infirmary to talk to the returned cadets.
We stroll up to the guard. I say, "Hey man, do you mind if we check in on the survivors?"
He says, "Sorry, I've been instructed that no one under the rank of major is allowed in or out."
Why not?
Those are my orders.
I want to try just a big, watery anime-eyed, please.
I go, "But it's her friends, and they meant everything to her."
Kadal roll deception, and Luna roll persuasion.
8.
Okay.
No! That's a nat 1.
He says to you, "I have my orders
Oh, come on, man.
for Rainer and the cooperative."
Okay, yeah, but
So as soon as he gives this news to Gadal, I grab Cassia by the shoulders and I shoulder into the back of Gadal and I say, "Excuse me, move!
Oh!
I've got a sick soldier and we need to get into the infirmary. Why are you standing in the doorway, Scales?"
And I'm still really clumsy, so I just like, "Help!" and just plop head first.
And I'm like,
And I'm not waiting for this man or soldiers or whoever's permission. We are through the door, I believe, halfway at this point. We're going.
You are not through the door, as it is locked.
God damn it. Okay.
What you just
In my
So you
mind,
just kind of like halfling battering ram the door. and
who
it just
locks
kind of-
a hospital door?
It's a really good question.
This
Cassie
is
just
an
goes, "Pop!"
emergency.
That is a
Okay,
very
now
good
I-
question.
suspicious, isn't it?
Lacan is asking this aloud.
now I really am kind of hurt.
I'm like,
Lacan, can you roll deception?
11.
He looks to Cassia, and you see a level of concern on his face. He says, "Wait here." He unlocks the door. He walks in.
Can I peek in the door when he opens it?
Yeah. Luna, can I get investigation at disadvantage?
No.
Mhm.
Well, my first
As
roll
you
of
only have-
2.
Not great. Yeah, you only have a split second before the door
That's
is
a 5.
closed. Okay.
So, I'm looking at telepathy, which is in my background.
Mm-hmm.
And it says a player can communicate mentally with one other creature within 90 feet. It doesn't say anything about I need to see them, and it doesn't say anything about that I need to know them. So if I were to reach out with my mind and look for a battered cadet who is in the infirmary, could I find someone's mind?
This is subject to change in the future because we're still working out the specifics of the background, but I will have you roll to try and telepathically reach out to the glimpse of a patient you saw.
Okay.
D20 plus your wisdom.
5.
You feel the faintest reception to your outreach.
I yell telepathically, hello? Hello, hello, hello.
You hear a response, but you hear that it's out loud coming from the room. You hear from the door very faint, hello.
Are you the cadet that came back from removal?
Are you still, you're still saying this telepathically? Yes.
What's out there?
It says, as the door swings back open. And the guard says, all right, it's time to wrap it up here. You've done enough. Please go on, head on back to your bunks, please.
What about? I don't know them. I have a problem here.
Please, sir.
She's pathetic. Look at her.
So pathetic.
Please, until there's a real emergency, leave the premise or I'll have to call in someone higher up.
I am holding Cassia up in his face.
Maybe Simba.
What constitutes an emergency if not a halfling doing whatever this is? I've never seen this before.
Cassia's just holding her breath really hard to make her face as red as possible.
She's just holding her breath and puffing out her cheeks like. She's gonna poop.
Oh, guys, did they do that?
I'll do it. I'll do
Do
it.
they do that?
I think I see the light. It's so
Don't go. Don't go into it. This can't be good.
Mama, coming home.
Is the guard just standing by the closed door? Okay.
I've been laying on the ground this whole time, and I just like finally stand up. I'm like, okay, it's not working, guys. Let's go.
A really good idea.
Like Han just like places Cassia back down on her feet.
Yeah, just like. Nope.
And I hold you. Make sure you got you. I'm not letting you go until you're good, right? Are you balanced?
I'm okay. Thanks.
Take some deep breaths.
I give the guard the dirtiest look, and then put my hands off my roommate and just pissed off walk away.
Cassia.
Yes.
I'll have you, because this is really like poking at your brain. I'll have you roll history.
We got a 19, Captain. Woo! She studied.
And in your studies, you do recall there is something that starts with a claw. You are aware of creatures known as cloakers.
Oh.
Cloakers.
Huh?
Cloakers.
What?
What do I know what they are?
Yeah, can you roll insight just so we can determine how much you might know?
Roll a 3.
Okay. You know that they are big scary monsters that more or less look like giant mean stingrays.
No.
Mean stingrays, as opposed to the ones that look like nice stingrays. Let's take a look. I have actually pulled a picture from D&D of a cloaker. So thanks to Cassia remembering that, we can all know that this is what a cloaker is.
Yeah, I gotta
Yep.
sleep tonight, so thank you for this.
You're absolutely welcome. Yeah.
Oh, did we ever see this?
No,
I
and
don't
hopefully this
know.
is like totally random and we never actually will. Like,
That's actually,
won't ever come back up again.
yeah, I don't like that.
But yes, that is a cloaker.
Cloakers aren't real.
And thank you, production, for making that as big as possible for us.
It's a holographic where it breaks the frame.
Yeah, it's coming right out at us. That was also one of our first kind of like the team does hijinks together bits, which I really loved. And incidentally, the fun didn't stop there because we did go to bed and then we're woken up to a fight where we fought a monster that, wow, that's terrifying. Thank you. A monster that did not look like a cloaker, but was in fact called Black Pudding. And Christina, who keeps our episode notes, I laughed because in the episode notes she wrote, either we ate black pudding or we were attacked by black pudding. I can't remember. So it is that we were attacked by black pudding. We managed to defeat it. It was kind of this acidic, goopy thing. I would have pulled a picture, but it literally is just kind of like black goo. And kind of ate a hole through our floor, really did a number on Kadal. But we did manage to vanquish it, and this is the conversation that we have immediately following that engagement.
The room, because this thing corrodes anything it touches, it sounds like. So I'm looking around the room with that torch to look for any other kind of corrosion or like place of entry. Is there like something I can use to see if there was any kind of like place of entry?
Let's say investigation.
Investigation.
Lacan, because you asked, you can roll investigation as well.
I rolled a 3.
An 11.
It is worth noting, and you would probably know this, since black pudding isn't the most unheard of thing, they can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide. So
That's like everything.
So it literally could have been as simple as it just wandered in through like an opening, like a crack in a doorway.
I asked Pluck if he left the window open.
Pluck just kind of looks around.
Is the window open?
Pluck.
Right.
Did you leave the window open? Is this the equivalent of like a spider getting into the house?
It's a nice night out. I thought the breeze would feel nice. It could have come from anywhere.
True. Is everyone else okay? Did anyone else? Did this get on anyone else?
No.
I'm fine. How are your hands?
Weird.
Take your hand and check it.
My hand's fine, thanks to Pluck. We should talk to Lieutenant Marlowe and let him know.
Good idea.
Or you have to go to the infirmary?
Oh, really good point.
Yeah, my hand really hurts. We should go to the infirmary.
Let's go. Let's all take him to the infirmary.
I'm like, ah! Lacan, hold me.
Just got the one hand on your
Just my
elbow
arm,
and
just dragging me from my arm. I'm like, ah!
Black pudding attack.
Cassie is holding just the end of my tail.
Yeah.
So you go to the infirmary, just making a commotion.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah! And I still, my clothes are all like acidy up and stuff. So I'm like, ah! 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 Ah!
Different guard is at the door, sees you covered in acid burns and with some of your clothes eaten up. He goes, "Oh fuck, black pudding attack! Here, get in here."
Nice.
Thank you. Ah!
Nurse will see you to a bed. it's a big open thing with beds that have like curtains around them.
Yeah.
Perception.
Ooh, finally. 23.
Am I laying on a bed yet? Dude, I get my bed?
Yeah. Yeah, you got a bed.
It hurts.
21.
Nice.
Whoa. 19 for me.
7.
Okay. You're caught up in
I'm like,
like, sir, we're gonna bring you some stuff in a second. Can
yeah,
you-
bring it now.
Hey, people are sleeping.
Bring it now.
Thank you. All of the curtains are drawn. You can't really see who's in here.
I'm gonna do that thing that like a 2-year-old in the bathroom with their mom does and just get
Oh.
down on the floor and look under the curtains.
And the nurses are did they go off to go get things for me?
I think Cassia will go like across the aisle and kind of quickly duck between the beds and try to beep beep.
Can you just roll a d20 for me?
19.
Okay. You find one of the people who came back from the removal mission. This guy is pretty fucked up. You see that there are wounds all up and down his arms, which is kind of the only thing that's not under blanket, that almost look like barbed wire has just ripped through his flesh.
Cassia's kind of in shock and just automatically just thinks, it's not looking good over here, you guys.
And Luna, can you roll a d20 for me?
17.
Well, it's pretty easy for you to find. You go back to the same bed you got a glimpse of earlier, and you see the same individual that is asleep.
How do they look?
Rough.
I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds on them because I feel like that probably is a pleasant sensation. I'm trying to wake them up nice and easy.
Mhm.
So they get 8 healing.
They do heal. They like sort of half wake up.
I say
The exhaustion is still gonna have an effect, but good.
I say in their head, "Hello again."
Did you just help me?
Mhm.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Did you mean to say that there are
Cloakers.
cloakers? Did you say that there are cloakers?
This is yes.
Why are they sending cadets for cloakers?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
I think so.
Why won't they let you talk to anyone?
I mean, I've barely been conscious. At that point, you hear, "Excuse me, can you not disturb the other patients in here?"
I wave my hands and I'm like, "I'm not disturbing, I'm helping, see?" And I point to his healed wounds.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. What's your name? I asked the patient.
The nurse butts in again, says, "I don't think you all should be here. I think it's probably best if you went back to your bunks."
I'm here with my sick friend. He got attacked by black pudding.
Yeah, we have this, and hands you an ointment and says, "Apply that to where it burns. It should be good by morning."
I ask the patient in his head what his name is.
Ermhild.
Ermhild.
Now, if you wouldn't mind, have a good night, everyone. Thank you for your help. Feel better.
Did the nurse hand me the ointment or?
Yep.
I'm like, thanks. Let's go, guys.
That's
Hi,
it.
Ermhild.
Lacan scoffs at the nurse, gathers Kadal, and helps him from the room, throwing another dirty look over his shoulder.
And me too. While Lacan's dragging me, I'm like,
And I. And thus ends the infirmary infiltration.
I think the con might start to like us. I think the con might like us a little.
He's helping.
He's helping us. It's so cute.
I just
can
don't like when
change
people treat
him.
you worse than I do. Cassie immediately was like, I can fix him.
I can't stop.
The infiltration of like this was one of the first moments though, and I'm sorry, I know we gotta go fast, but like Luna just had this like radical take of like, yeah, I'm gonna like cure wounds, and it just kind of turned into like a totally different situation, I think, because you just approached it with like, I don't know, Luna always comes with her heart out first, and it's been really cool to watch.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to take a second for you guys to react because we watched a lot of video without giving you guys a moment. So anything on your mind that you wanted to point out?
Wait, us?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you.
Not them.
No.
I don't know, man. Watching these back is just so like I caught myself actually laughing out loud with some of the things that y'all are saying and stuff, and I'm just really excited to keep playing this with y'all and learning more about how it works and how this game develops and stuff.
I just love how yes and the group is at all
Mhm.
times. Like we're like, Cassie is sick, and she's like, I'm dying, and we're like,
Yes.
Cadell needs to go to the infirmary. He's like, take me to the bed, like just
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah,
But
but
the
it's
group is really good at yes and.
it's so nice to have such seasoned D&D players with Christina and I, because I feel like we're getting such a good understanding of how to properly play the game, because you guys are really confident in your decisions. You know, your timing is so good with dialogue versus just making decisions. The storytelling's so good. So this is as someone who's never been involved in the D&D community, been a part of D&D, literally how I met you guys and got to know you was now because of D&D. I think this is so exciting and such a fun and privileged way of getting my first experience and exposure to this game.
I could talk
Yeah.
forever about why this cast is so good. I mean, everyone is bringing really good stuff to this cast, I think.
I had almost like a full body memory too of, I think, having this realization of hearing Luna ask these questions, like that. I think in real life I would almost be like, hey, stop, you can't do that, like that's not okay, like you can't just ask someone, you can't just ask someone why they're here or whatever. and I think it was like, oh yeah, you can't wait for permission. And I think that around that episode was when that started kicking in my brain, which is really cool. And I hope I take away from that too. 'Cause that's like awesome.
I totally agree with that. Like something I noticed with Christina, you and I, was the way that we were talking in the earlier clips to the last clip that we just saw. The choppiness of it was in like the confidence of us just as players and as the characters. You could see the change and the development. So now we're like, okay, we're making decisions now. We got to move. My hand hurts, and we're just whatever happens, it happens, and we're just having fun. And it's really, I think, because you have Anna, Rachel, and Nate guiding us so well that it makes it really easy to just start making those calls, and we're just really starting to get the muscles moving.
I also wish there was like a director's cut of all of these where I could hear what Nate's thinking. Because like I'm always like, did he think we were gonna do that? Like, did he think we were gonna get to go back? Where'd you get Irmhild from? Was that just like on deck, or did you make
So
that's amazing.
So I can give a little insight on that, which is that so like I said, this is hours and hours of footage that I've actually gone through and edited. And I cut out a lot of things that are like just us waiting to think of something, or like one thing Nate's really good at is instead of doing negative pause fillers, he'll just let the silence sit and then speak as a DM, which really builds tension for us and stuff. But when I'm trying to fit things into a couple hours, take like 16 hours into a couple hours, I end up cutting out a lot of that. So what happened was Luna was like, "What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?" And he kept being like, "You have to leave. You have to leave." And Luna wouldn't leave it alone. So he was like, "Okay, let's see. Irmhild." So he used a name generator because he just didn't have a name for that character because he didn't.
It's like
think he was gonna need one.
It's Glass.
Yeah.
I'm Glass.
Yeah. So I think that it's important to point out that this is a different kind of show than a live D&D show because this is an edited one. And part of the fun, I think, of D&D is all of us telling the story together in real time and sometimes not having the answer and sometimes collaborating to find the answer and sometimes pulling it out of a generator,
No, it's so, I'm so impressed. I'm constantly so impressed, like at how fast everyone's brains move.
Yeah, it's so crazy too that you guys are familiar. You've done this a lot, but being able to write a story this fast in real time is just so crazy. And then we have to go, and it is just such a crazy concept that I'm still trying to get a grip on.
Oh, and you guys just shouted him out, but I was gonna be like, and Nate has to play like the setting and every background character to this like wild choices that we've made so far in this game and these crazy like left hooks that Luna's been throwing conversationally. And it is, Nate, amazing to watch because I literally am just like, what's he gonna do? Like so many times. I'm like, what do you do with that? And smooth as hell.
Yeah, he's managing like 50 characters while we're managing one each.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, speaking of that.
Wait, no. I'm confidently interrupting you.
Good.
Because I also just wanted to really quickly say thank you so much for editing all of this.
Oh.
Because I'm having such a good time. Wow. And I know how much you looked through this and how much work this was. So it's amazing. Thank you.
There have been some people in chat being like, I wish that we were watching it like without the cuts. And I'm like, I get it. You can watch it without the cuts next week during the premiere. And, if you want to watch 16 hours of footage, maybe someday we'll upload that for, our most invested community. But for right now, this is what's there. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So speaking of Nate keeping things straight and building this amazing, vibrant world with so many leads that we can pull on, the next kind of section goes into where we're really interacting with the plot and kind of getting a little bit of payoff on that, like, what is the real threat? I think that's one of the biggest questions so far of the campaign is casting doubt on what we thought was the real threat and trying to figure out what that real threat is. We get sent on our first mission. And Nate, if I remember correctly, this mission is early for us, right? Like the training usually would take longer.
Yeah, this wasn't labeled as your mission. This was you assisting with an errand, more or less. It's like, this is not a mission. You didn't get an official assignment. This is just something that we need a few extra hands with.
Mm-hmm. And that mission is that we need to help deliver some supplies. We need to take some boxes to be filled up with supplies and bring them back, like very normal stuff. The fun part of that was that there is a cart being pulled by a fun new creature called a Strider. So we can take a look at that. And our Strider's name is Smokeblade. That is Smokeblade the Strider.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a smoke blade.
You can tell just by looking at them. Smokeblade. Nate, can you tell us anything about Striders?
Yeah, it was the best thing I could find, and reading through a couple forums of other people who were like-minded running the Underdark setting of what would be an appropriate mount. Because again, like, as much as the world of D&D is so just huge. There's so much, canon lore that this is the Underdark is a pretty unknown setting for me. So like I said, I'm kind of using the Underdark as a backdrop and it's mostly homebrew. But for things like this, I still want it to be somewhat appropriate for the setting. So when looking into it, it's like, I don't think horses would be common in the Underdark. Apparently, these guys are a really good mount system alternative. Yeah, and someone in chat said like volcanic looking chocobo almost, and I can see that. But yeah, so this is Smoke Blade, as named by Copperlight's kid.
I didn't know that. I don't think you've ever shared that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
it was another one of those things, and I don't know. I like some DMs like to keep all their secrets. I like to keep some. I like to, if the opportunity comes up, spoil insight that's like, that was a fun thing of no consequence that's never going to have an opportunity to happen again, because y'all are just like, okay, his name is Smokeblade. It's like, oh, they didn't even ask. So, okay. But yeah, so this is, it's Copperlight's, it's Copperlight's, and it was named by, oh, there he is. Yeah, it was named by his kid. So it's just, I'm just like, what would like a small child name something? It's like, what's two cool words? Like Smokeblade.
So, as we're about to set off on that mission, General Basterfield comes out, starts chatting with us. I don't remember why Luna engaged him or how, but she somehow gained some confidence from him. And he shakes her hand goodbye and passes her an envelope. And at this point, we have a long conversation about what the hands of Luxodons look like, whether they are elephant hands or fingered hands. And Nate expressly says that he has very large, thick human hands. And that is a callback that happens a lot throughout the footage from then on. But he passes Luna this, actually, this is just a paper with text on it. So we can, I think I have the text. Yeah. So this is what Nate sent me in Discord as the player of Luna, and let me decide how I was going to share that. It has to do with delivering. Actually, I can read it. You know, you've been assigned the task of overseeing safe delivery of an above artifact, which is currently in your lieutenant's possession. While the delivery of the carriage and resources is necessary, this will serve as a cover for your actual delivery. There must at least be 2 people in the presence of the artifact at all times for additional security. You must bring the above artifact to House Demonstrata, located in the outer capital, address below. Once delivered, return to the order under at once. So Luna doesn't understand why this has just been given to her, whether she's supposed to share it or not, but she learns that Marlowe also has some information that he's not sharing. At some point, Kadal reads the note. Not all of that is super important, but eventually Luna reveals that we need to do something with this special artifact that the lieutenant has, and that's where our next video clip begins. The envelope should go to House Demonstrata.
You say that, Luna. Lacan just stops walking.
Is there a
Why'd you
problem
stop?
with that?
Sorry, sir.
Who did you say that letter was for, Luna?
It should go to House Demonstrata.
According to
The mission details.
Are we supposed to be sharing this with everybody, Luna?
I didn't share everything,
Okay.
Kadal.
Well, I just feel like this is a little.
You're making it really obvious.
I'll take it.
The envelope?
I continued.
Why? Are you look is your name Demonstrata?
It's my family name,
Oh,
Lieutenant. I would expect you knew that much.
Seems like
Goes,
it's for you.
I did not.
But we need to take it to the house. Even if you hold it, we have to take it there.
I wouldn't
have
mind
the
a trip
address.
to the house. Is that where we're meant to go?
we're going to your house?
A house is a clan, is a name, is a people.
No,
is it
I
not
have the
for me?
address. I read the address.
Ah.
5298.
No.
It's blocks. It's a zip code and everything.
Look, Lacan has
But
a
that,
rare
no
fourth
doxing.
wall glance, like, I see no reason to go to the house. I don't know who you would expect to receive this except me.
Our mission is to take this, according to the details explained to me, is to take this to House Demonstrata, not to deliver this to a member of House Demonstrata.
I am all that's left of House Demonstrata, Lieutenant.
It gets really uncomfortable for us.
Why?
Because my parents are dead, Luna.
So nobody lives in House Demonstrata?
No. No, they had no kin. And I have no siblings. It's only me now. So we can take this. It's very tight. We can take this letter to an empty box up in the mountain peaks, but I don't know what the point of that would be. I am here and I am all that stands of my house.
Do you know if people might be just being in your house without you knowing?
I don't doubt it at all.
Luna, Lacan, I'm so sorry. I don't even know why we didn't ask earlier.
I would prefer you would never know. And I don't need your sorry. You can take that back. Thank you.
Okay, but
He likes hugs.
Then I go, yeah. And then I go and hug Lacan. Or like kind of like reach for a hug. Like you I put my hand on your shoulder.
The letter, Lieutenant, what is the point of this?
Well, from what I can tell, this isn't a letter. And he kind of like shakes the envelope, and you can hear there's something that obviously fits in an envelope, but more like thunking around inside.
Huh.
This is a clown's parade to an empty box full of horrible memories.
I climb up on like the side of the carriage so that I can reach the top of Lacan's head, and I go, there, and I pat.
Well, that's
I adore
happening.
this.
Right. You don't have to, but do you want to? What happened?
What happened? I've told you everything that happened. My parents are dead. I'm in the military, and we're on a clown parade to the place where all the rest of my shit is.
Yeah, but how long ago was this? Like you just joined the military.
Lacan just starts walking. He knows where his house is.
That reveal was one of the best, most artful, like, lore drops I've ever seen, Rachel. What was going through your mind during that scene?
That you had given me literally the perfect setup, because I think we didn't quite get as much of this in like the back and forth between you and Kadal trying to decide how much information to reveal, and like that it was done in this negotiation with Marlo when you had the sense that he had the letter, but none of us knew that you had this information until you let Kadal. So we're just like, Cassie and I are just oblivious. We're like, so you really like this, you know, Smokeblade? And we're like, yeah, Smokeblade's pretty cool. And plot's unfolding. Also, I was very sick, so that was like my handsomest boy voice that day.
Dude, just there's so many quotable lines in that one, like, I am all that's left of House Demonstrata, and something like and now we're on a clown parade back to an empty box full of horrible memories. I was like, dang. Just pulling those out.
Just angling for my black parade. My good.
Yeah. Just hit that G note. Yep. So after that happens, we get underway. We make it to the place where we're supposed to maybe drop off supplies or some stop. And I cannot tell you why, but Marlo hands the envelope with the above artifact in it, supposedly, to Cassia. Cassia has been riding up on Smokeblade having a grand old time, not really super involved in anything up until that point.
When you just showed that note, that's the first time I've ever seen anything that was in that note. We both were oblivious.
So that's all the setup you need for our next clip is that Marlo handed the envelope to Cassia. Let's watch.
If you're going to hold on to that envelope, just please take care of it long enough that I get to see the contents.
Well, all
Or-
my stuff's in this bag.
If you'd like to hand it to me.
Yeah, can't we just open it?
Oh,
Yeah, why not?
yeah, it's for you.
There's nothing in the rules that says we can't.
And Marlo's not here, right?
Nope,
It does
you were
have a
inside.
seal on it, though.
Oh, that's okay, because I have this knife.
Luna's just like,
I mean, you might as well.
I guess you should have a knife. Yeah, that checks out. Are we?
And I?
We're doing it. It's you.
Okay.
We cut the wax seal.
She hasn't. Cassia has not heard any of this. She doesn't know that it's a big deal. Like you guys were all by the thing, and she's been riding up front because she has tiny little legs.
Yeah, if Cassia wants to open it, then she could.
Let's go.
I'm not touching it because someone once told me you're not supposed to open people's mail, but I really
That's a
want to know
myth.
what's inside.
That's a myth.
Oh, okay.
You open it, you break the seal.
Okay.
All right. You break the seal, and inside of it is a small, seemingly some kind of metal pin. It looks like this.
Whoa,
Oh, is this for your hair?
that's cool.
Is there
Wait,
any
what-
chance any of us recognize this?
No.
Okay.
Lacan, you can roll insight.
15.
You don't recognize the specific craftsmanship or anything inscribed in it, which leads you to believe that this is what might be an above artifact. An above artifact being
Go figure.
suspected to be from before the sky fell.
Oh, right, because we don't even know what a moon is, right?
Right.
Whoa. It's
So
C
more or
for
less
Cassia.
And for you to see, oh, well, that's actually the depiction by Christina herself of that fabled moment of it is a myth. And yes, many of you who've watched our character reveal stream have heard of this great moment. And that is the picture of what is in the envelope. And before you say anything, chat, specifically, no one recognizes this. Even if you as a D&D player do recognize what this is, don't put it in chat because many of our players have never heard of it before. So, but anyway, Christina, the myth moment, tell us about it. Tell us about your illustration. Tell us about your feelings.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was an interesting moment that I hadn't experienced yet where, like I said, Cassia was like riding Smokeblade and away from you guys. So like Christina had heard everything you said, but I had to remember that Cassia didn't, which I said, but I don't know. I wanted to know what was in the envelope, so I guess it was a little selfish of me to make Cassie like my puppet. But
That's a totally valid reason to do things in D&D, by the way.
oh good, and also I think I had just been looking at my character sheet, and for some reason, unknowingly, I saw that I had a knife in my bag, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't remember doing that, and then it just was like a perfect moment. So I don't know. I don't
a knife. No.
Yeah, I felt once I saw all of your reactions, I was like, no, we gotta open it, I think. Like
I'm very glad you did. So that was then in Cassia's possession, and how briefly it was in Cassia's
Whatever that
possession.
thing is.
Yes, whatever that is. I think we did start calling it a pin. So it is the pin. Yeah. And no sooner had we discovered what it was and had Lacan said, please, Cassia, don't lose that thing that ostensibly belongs to my family, did a bandit run up and steal the pin from Cassia. So we fought them. Something that was too long to show in this, but one of my personal favorite moments in that battle was when Cassia decided to stay atop Smokeblade and use the cart as her battle strategy. So a lot of her turns were spent turning the cart around and then running it through crowds. Do you want to tell us anything about that, Christina?
that was still faster than if Cassia herself had run because her legs are so short. Like we did the math. I was really grateful that Nate was really open to that. And it was a lot, even with the cart, it was a lot faster to use.
Yeah, once you got it turned around, the speed difference was more than made up after like a couple rounds. Because yeah, the movement speed is not great.
That was so good.
There was
Moving
like,
right
there's, I don't know if we're gonna touch on this in a minute. It looks like maybe not, but there was a moment in this battle too that had this kind of cool reflection to Christina, what you're talking about with Cassia and training, where like you felt like, you know, you're expecting a BB gun and somebody handed you a bazooka. This was kind of the fight where kind of for both you and Kadal fired your bazookas, and I think that kind of left an impression on the target as well as on your hearts.
That is the best segue possible into this next clip, which is the very ending of said bandit battle. Let's watch now.
Whoa! Okay.
She goes,
21
oh,
hits.
oops.
Can you roll the next? Can you do that same roll again? Let's just see how many hit.
21 again.
Jeez.
Okay. It's 3, right? Yep. One more.
16.
Bro. Bloodlust
you-
Cassia.
You don't
Are
even have to
those-
roll damage. He doesn't have enough HP to survive this. So
Oh god, I don't.
as the missiles just like lunge into him and he fucking explodes.
Cassia's
I
drooling. She's
killed
like,
someone? Wait, no, yo, I'm not like that.
Luna, as you grab the pin out of the bandit's pocket and like just curl up and hold on to it, you turn and you see this bandit looming over you, about to try and take it. And then he just explodes.
oh my lord.
I get like,
oh my
Oh my god.
Then
And
it's
I've
like-
never killed anyone before. This is like, I should actually. I'm gonna need some. Does the
Anything else
on
military
your turn?
provide therapy or no?
Well, that brings us to Kadal.
I still have that adrenaline and I'm holding on to him and like waiting for him to wake up.
Yep.
So I'm trying to wake him up because I want to know where he came from, and I want him to wake up to like answer to what he did.
You see that he barely opens his eyes as like air's barely getting to him, and he like kind of smiles at you.
Oh, that makes me so mad. And so I squeeze a little tighter and I say, where are you from and who are you?
He says to you as he like, as you squeeze tighter, you could see like tears, not from crying, but just from
Breathe.
the pressure kind of form in his eye.
I got a 21.
Oh my
whoa.
Okay.
She goes,
21
oh,
hits.
oops.
Can you roll the next? Can you do that same roll again? Let's just see how
Yes.
many hit.
21 again.
Jeez.
Okay. It's 3, right? Yep. One more.
16.
Bro. Bloodlust
Yeah, you-
Cassia.
You don't
Are
even have to
those-
roll damage. He doesn't have enough HP to survive this. So
Oh god, I don't.
as the missiles just like lunge into him and he fucking explodes.
Cassia's
I
drooling. She's
killed
like,
someone?
Wait, no, yo, I'm not like that.
Luna, as you grab the pin out of the bandit's pocket and like just curl up and hold on to it, you turn and you see this bandit looming over you, about to try and take it. And then he just explodes.
Oh my lord.
I get like,
oh my
Oh my god.
Then
And
it's
I've
like-
never killed anyone before. This is like, I should actually. I'm gonna need some. Does the
Anything else
on your
military
turn?
provide therapy or no?
Well, that brings us to Kadal.
I still have that adrenaline and I'm holding on to him and like waiting for him to wake up.
Yep.
So I'm trying to wake him up because I want to know where he came from, and I want him to wake up to like answer to what he did.
You see that he barely opens his eyes as like air's barely getting to him, and he like kind of smiles at you.
Oh, that makes me so mad. And so I squeeze a little tighter and I say, "Where are you from and who are you?"
He says to you as he like, as you squeeze tighter, you could see like tears, not from crying, but just from
Breathe.
the pressure kind of form in his eyes. And he smiles and he says, "We will stop you from hiding the truth." As what you see, he takes his last breath as his whole body just falls limp.
he's dead?
He dead.
You squished him!
Lieutenant
Yeah.
Marlowe kind of looks over, says, Cadet, drop him."
So I let go. I snap out of it, and while he's limp, I'm starting to flicker and do that flickering thing, and then I hear Marlowe telling me to drop it for the final time, and I like snap out of it. I unravel my tail. I just drop him, and I kind of like. I feel the weight of what just happened, and I'm kind of in shock. And I walk back to Marlowe, but I don't look at anybody, and my eyes are just on the ground, and still kind of in shock.
What happened?
They tried taking the package, sir.
This was all my fault.
Did they succeed?
I hold up the envelope, all crumpled. Nope.
As far as I see it, there is nothing to be at fault for. You did your job.
All right, I want to hear from Christina and Bo after that one.
Totally reliving. This is like I'm right back there because it was just so exciting and hee hee ha ha to open that envelope, and I forgot that then there was just this like Tower of Terror drop. Because I thought that we were gonna be able to get information out of those guys, and that's what the fighting would be about, and then it just took such a turn, and yeah, I guess everyone in D&D has to have their first murder. Is that normal? I don't know. It just felt so completely different than the training when we were shattering ice. It's just so, ugh, my heart like hurts again.
And you got to relive it twice because of a nice little loop there for you.
I know, like I'm like grossed out. I was like playing it up like, and then I was like, oh no, like girl, like stop. This is serious, actually.
I remember I remember after this session, I think I text Anna, but on my drive home, I felt like the adrenaline of I don't know. I kind of felt like the anxiety. I felt anxious and I felt really on edge. And the whole, you guys didn't get to see or hear the chase of the bandits and trying to catch up to them and them being so elusive, but it was getting on Kadal's nerves and things just weren't going right. And so he lost his temper. And it was funny to be post session and still feel that frustration and then the anger that was starting to fill in Kadal. And this was a moment in the session where when we were talking about the character reveals, something that I wanted to try to do was practice not thinking about when I'm playing D&D, not doing what I think I should do to win, but what would my character do in that moment. And I think this was the moment that kind of broke that for me, and I took that freedom again. I keep talking about freedom, but I took that freedom to really consider what Kadal would do. And there was, I think Lacan was being pinned or surrounded or overwhelmed for some reason. And my natural instinct as just a gamer is go help your teammate. But what I believe Kadal would have done was he kind of went berserker mode, had tunnel vision, and just went after the person with the pin and abandoned his comrade. And so having those feelings and thinking, my friend, forget it all, I need to go kill that guy, it was kind of a crazy, like, I don't know, it was a weird sensation that carried through after the session. But it was really cool to be able to get to a point where I could start making decisions for Kadal rather than for the sake of the game. If that made sense. Sorry, that was like a little
Totally. I think that it's a huge moment when you find your character doing things and feeling things that aren't you, that they're like totally the character.
Yeah, man, totally. And like this moment, the moment when at the mess hall with Zarnus and just feeling sad for this person who, for this battalion who died, who never came back, and we were their only friends, and feeling the emotion from that is something that I've never experienced in gaming like this. So it's so wild, man.
Well, and too, I don't know if this was, we didn't quite get into Luna's reaction to this, but I definitely remember like after that session, we usually talk a little bit after every game and just like check in on each other and see how we're feeling. And you were both pretty affected and reported that. And I kind of had this moment where like during the fight, I was like, okay, well, I'm a fighter. I do this, I kill, and I'm having a pretty unsuccessful fight and I'm slipping up a lot. But in the moments after talking with you all, it's kind of one of those like, oh my gosh, I love so much hearing like your fresh take on this, because I had become kind of jaded in the sense of like very mechanical about fighting in D&D, and you kind of called me back to like, wow, my character should work through some shit for how okay he was with just like getting into that fight, and like also me as like a D&D character, like or player, so it kind of above board and in game kind of called attention to like these differences between our characters. Mm-hmm. And like Luna, like from the perspective like of my character, was very like cute and cartoonish, and like watching like a oh gosh, what's that, the movie with the 2D 3D, I just watched it. The Toontown. But I don't know if we talked about Luna's take on that fight kind of afterwards at all either.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that we did. And it's interesting to ask, because I think that like maybe Luna's biggest reaction is like she doesn't understand and nobody was listening to her, because she kept being like, we need to talk to them. Like the point of this is we need to talk to them. And everyone was like, pew, pew, squish, blah, And so I don't think that Luna is particularly like super bothered by death, because I think she's very like used to being one with the forest, and death is just a part of life and all of that. But I think the kind of like bloodlust thing really doesn't calculate for her at all. So I think that will be very, very interesting going forward. Christina, did any of it stick with you afterwards? Was there any kind of like emotional repercussions?
Yeah, it's actually really similar to what Bo said, because it was almost like that feeling of when you're laying in bed at night and you're like, why am I thinking about this like memory from third grade when I said that thing at recess and like everyone looked at me weird. It felt so permanent. Like I can't go back and undo that. I can't like restart the game. I can't go back to like my last save. Like I made a permanent decision and it was very in the moment, and now looking back, I'm like, and I'm feeling it again in my chest, like, oh my God, like I can't undo it. Dang.
That is
That's
so
crazy.
fascinating that you say that, because it really is like that, Christina, where most games I'm thinking, oh, this is a game, I'm just gonna reset or like whatever, it has no consequences. But because we're so immersed in that, it felt so real and felt like our emotions were so heightened that it carried on after the session, which is such a bizarre thing to feel after a video game.
And also, I can't help but wonder too how it would feel if they had gotten away with the artifact. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of leeway because the mission was like a success. I mean, as much of a success as a complete failure could be. So we got like lucky in that respect, but if they had gotten away, if most of them had died and one guy had gotten away, like what would it all have been for? Ugh. Ugh.
It's also interesting. I mean, like, and people in chat were talking about aftercare and how important it is to talk about these things, because like we're not actually people who would kill people, so like it's important to separate your character in this fantasy setting who is a fighter, a warrior, from your actual self, and that's really important. But feeling those emotions for the first time is also very real, and yeah. So, sorry, Rachel just got timed out for posting links. That was an accident.
Sometimes I hit the period instead of the space bar. Oh my God, I'm just trying to type about Giovanni.
Anyway, but I think something I want to point out that you've probably noticed as we've gone through all these clips, I did not intentionally find clips to like give everyone equal time, but it's a testament to how good of a DM Nate is, because just over the entirety of all the footage, there's such an equal amount of important moments for everybody. And there's such a great cadence of like tough thing, fun thing, tough thing, fun thing. So right after this happens, we go inside the bar. We have the pin, and I actually wrote out a whole thing of where the pin was because it was very confusing. So at this point, Marlo had given the pin to Cassia. Cassia lost it to the bandits. Luna recovered it from the bandits, gave it back to Cassia. Cassia gave it to Marlo, but then we forgot that Cassia gave it to Marlo, and in the next episode decided that Cassia still had it. So we were all in the bar. It was called the Funky Fungus. That was the location that we needed to send it to. Turned out the Funky Fungus referred to a type of fungus that you could put into a hookah and ingest. And so we got
fun fact, I was looking into it, if I can like interject. I was looking into it. I'm just like, okay, yeah, they're gonna like a tavern would be a good place for this. I want to do something unique, because something I'm really trying to do with especially this Underdark setting is like, how can I put interesting underground, like different twists on stuff rather than be like, all right, it's a tavern and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, oh, it's more of like a hookah bar or whatever. I was like, I wonder what the deal is with like those types of substances in the Underdark. And what I had found was that canonically in the Underdark, yes, there are fungus you can, like you said, ingest. And specifically, I found that information when Googling about this, and I found it from a tweet from none other than Chris Perkins. So I was like, if there's anyone whose information I want to incorporate as much as I can, it would be Chris. So
he wrote Funky Fungus.
No, he didn't write the Funky Fungus. The Funky Fungus was the name of the bar, but the concept, I mean, the concept of there are basically fungus that you can like grind up and dry up and smoke in the Underdark is a canon thing, and I found about it from a post from Chris.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's amazing. He has so many useful little tidbits of D&D lore that's just like, oh, fun.
Great.
Was that one he just like tossed out like a breadcrumb, or like
Yes.
shout out to the person who asked him, like,
Yeah.
how do I
Yeah.
get lit in the Underdark?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So we meaning myself and Kadal especially, Cassia quite a bit as well, got real litty with our new fungus friend Elis, who was a Myconid, and showed us the ways. Lacan was brooding and did not partake. Luna decided to perform as a bard because she was just really excited about how beautiful the world was. Those are some Myconids, just like our friend Elis. Luna performed with a roll of a 21, which I'm very proud of. It made Kadal cry. People threw gold at us. That's an important thing to note for the story, is that now Luna has some gold because of that performance. And I think that that's all you need to know in order to view our next clip. Let's check it out.
Before you enter the room, you see kind of leaning on the balcony of the second story, just like kind of overlooking, like almost just people watching the people of a tavern, is what looks to be a human woman, if you could believe it. This sort of
Oh.
dark hair, dark features, as she's just kind of looking out. You walk up onto the second floor, walking towards your room. She kind of turns, looks at you, and just turns and looks back. She's observing.
Yeah, I'm not looking for company tonight. I go straight into my room. Shut the door, sit on the corner of the bed,
All right.
and feel angry and sad. But don't really process it, so I just stare really hard at the wall, not feeling the feelings.
What an edge lord.
Well, as you sit and brood in the dark, cut back to the people having a good old time. Each one of you, as you go upstairs, you see this same woman just standing there, looking over the crowd. Every time you walk up, she makes eye contact. She gives a little like nod, little gesture to acknowledge. Then just
I walk up to her and I say, I'm from the Glowwood.
She looks to you and says, I'll bet you are.
Thank you. I'm Luna. What's your name?
She kind of gives a little smile. She looks to you and says, Kastrid.
Kastrid. Where are you from, Kastrid?
Around.
Oh, wow. I like your hair flower.
Thank you. I like this.
Thank you. It's because,
You're from the Glowwood.
yeah. I like you.
It's a kind thing to say.
What you doing?
Oh, I was just thinking about some things before I head back home.
You like thinking about things?
I like what you can accomplish from thinking about things.
What are you going to accomplish?
Hopefully, taking care of my family.
You have a family?
Of sorts. Do you?
I don't know. Does your family need gold?
I mean, with how this world works, who doesn't?
I hand her 3 gold.
This is for what? Why?
For your family, if they need it.
Just as I am I'm grateful. Thank you.
No problem. What do they say out here? What goes around comes around or something? I don't know. In the Glowwood, we say something about all roots drinking from the same stream, but I can't really remember.
Well, where you come from seems like it makes good people.
Think so. Well, have a good night. And I turn around and go to bed.
Before you turn around, she holds out a hand to handshake.
I shake her hand. Very like someone who has not practiced shaking hands very much.
As you shake her hand, you feel that there's something in it.
Oh, love it when this happens.
As she lets go, she gives you a wink, and then she walks downstairs. And you open your hands to see it is the pin.
If I look around and if Cassie is behind me, I'm like,
No, not again, not again, not again, not again, not again.
Yeah, right as you come up, Luna shows you the pin as another woman is walking down past you.
How did you do that? I can't be trusted with anything ever again. This has happened twice.
okay.
Did you take it from me?
Mm-mm. That lady gave it to me.
Which lady?
That lady.
You point and you do not see her.
Was it a magic lady?
Whatever calmness there was has shot out her little fingers, and it's just like panic all over again, probably even worse. Luna, what did I do wrong?
Well, maybe you should try holding on to it.
Yeah, if there was a next time, there will not be a next time. I would try holding on to it.
Okay, I'll just I like pin it somehow to like the inside of my tunic so that it's like right here, and I go like this and I'm like, don't worry, I'll keep it safe. And then I go like to bed, lay down, and I curl around my middle, and I'm just like, I don't really sleep either. I just trance, so I'm just looking around like
So y'all wake up the next morning. Luna. Pin's gone.
What did you say?
The pin is gone.
Good.
Are you sure?
I'm like wheezing laughing.
Are you sure?
Like, what'd you say?
I cut myself off at "Are you sure?" because then I deliver a lengthy monologue about why I don't think the pin is gone. And Nate's like, yeah, it's still gone. And I'm like, okay. Okay.
That was so good, man.
Just for a little additional context, for the pin being gone again, there were rolls to see if that would happen the way it did. I didn't just necessarily arbitrarily decide, I don't know, pin's gone again.
I was wondering because I was like, I'm pretty sure that you didn't expect the Kastrid thing. So like we got the pin back. So did you just hand wave because you needed the pin to be gone? So there were actually rolls?
Yeah. Well, there were, maybe I'm misremembering, but it was definitely, I at least should have had everybody roll like during the night. Because I thought I had done that, but maybe I did not.
I don't know. I don't remember either. But either way, it was fine. Let's take a look at the woman, the magic lady herself.
This is reference our BT dubs.
Yes. This is not her particularly, but this is an image from D&D that a lot of you may recognize as a Vistani lady, which many of you called out, started screaming Barovia as soon as Nate started doing that voice. Many of you have heard Nate do Barovia things before, and so yes, that was a Vistani. Do you want to tell us anything else about her, Nate?
No.
Okay. Cool. Anything else you guys want to give commentary on that last clip, or shall we move on?
Luna just gave away 3 gold. He was like, I'm sorry, and just handed it up. To be fair, it did just come to you by great fortune, but
and it got us back the pin.
It did. It's just one of these things where I'm like, you said it, and I hope y'all can turn back in the VOD and look at Nate's face when Anna does this, because you can just see the calculations floating, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Were you sure it was going that way, Nate? Like, what was going through your head when you were talking to Luna there?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing that, you know, like when, as a player, because people talk about it a lot as a player, when, you know, you really, really inhabit the character and it becomes, you know, it becomes like, oh, I was witnessing them do it. The character took on itself. Depending on the NPC, that happens on the DM side too a lot. Like there are NPCs you know, and I at least try to an extent to do it with every NPC. You know, some people like, you know, a nameless guard at the door, maybe not so much, but for Kastrid in particular, I was just like, okay, like there's some plans for her. So she was just so genuinely taken aback by such selflessness that it was kind of it was almost spur of the moment to just like give the pin back, because clearly she was just, you know, there to swipe it, but then it's like, oh, I'm not used to this. So it was definitely like I was taken aback because she was taken aback.
It was cool.
I'm glad to hear that. I was wondering if it was the plan or if it just happened.
Anna, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Like, where are those questions coming from? Because I feel that when we're playing, like, you have the questions right at the tip of your mind already, but like even watching them, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so fast. Like,
oh, thank you.
Like, where are Luna's questions? Yeah, how you do that?
Well, I will point out that Rachel and I have hosted many hosting and interview workshops that you can hire us professionally to do for your company or yourself, anyone. So coming up with questions quickly is something that we can coach you in doing.
For 3 gold.
3 gold.
Dude, I have watched Anna do this on so many topics. Like, that's a master class on its own.
So there is a level of just like, I'm good at thinking of questions, but I think Luna's questions are informed by that she is really curious about the world, and most of her questions come from her own, like what she's trying to figure out about herself, you know, like, because she's like, do you have a family? Where are you from? What do you think about this? Because she's trying to reflect back the world around her, because she's kind of an empty vessel in a lot of ways. Like she's really confused most of the time. And I think I predict that the lack of connection and being able to understand is probably going to be something she really wrestles with that may kind of come to a head at some point.
Oh, I'm excited to see that.
All right, so here's what happens with the pin. Pin's gone again the next morning. We go looking to tell Marlowe, who's our commanding officer. Marlowe's also gone. Pin's gone, Marlowe's gone. So we go looking around, no one can tell us anything. I'm like, let's ask Kastrid. Since Kastrid's my friend, she lets me in her room. She actually slams the door in other people's faces. She keeps them out, but takes Luna in. And this is Kastrid telling us about what she thinks we might do to try to find both Marlowe and the pin.
To see that military guy we came in with around?
I can't say that I have.
Any idea where
unfortunately.
Pin might have gone off to?
Well, if around here something has gone missing, there is a chance it has ended up where I come from.
Where's that?
Are you familiar with the dredges?
I'm not, right?
No, you're not.
No?
There is a place in Raynor that a lot of people don't want to talk about or acknowledge is there. But underneath the central district is somewhere less traveled in the city. It's where I live, is where many people I know live and do what they can to get by.
Well, do you want to come to the dredges with us and help us find the pin?
She says, I'd be delighted to.
Great. I was very surprised that she said yes to that. Was that something that you assumed she would do, Nate, or was that another, like, surprise to you?
I mean, I would say from the character's perspective, I mean, that she said that that's where she comes from. That's her home. So to her, in theory, it's not really that big of a deal to go down there with y'all.
Cool. So she does go with us. She says, whoops, I have to run some errands. Go to this bar. It's called The Sick Dog. The sign has a dog barfing on it. Go there. Tell them you want what's at the bottom of the barrel. And that'll help you enter the dredges. At least an hour of trying to figure out how that worked ended in us just being like, yo, bartender, how much does it cost to go in the dredges? And he was like, 10 gold or something. And then we got into the dredges. Kastrid said she was going to meet us there. Wait, I think I skipped a clip. I did. So we're going to go back for a moment. Pretend I didn't tell you any of that. After Kastrid says she'll come with us, we go out of the bar and we encounter General Basterfield, our favorite Luxodon, and we tell him what happened, and he tells us of some of his suspicions. Let's watch that one.
To the Strider, standing next to Smokeblade and the cart is, first of all, the innkeeper, who is speaking to a couple of cadets as well as General Basterfield.
Lacan would stop and stand at kind of like a vague attention.
Are we all outside right now? We've all gone outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you all walk outside, he says, Troop B84, at ease. Good to see you. Where is Lieutenant Marlowe?
Oh, we were hoping you could tell us.
Ah, unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Also, he has the thing.
Ah, even more unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. But don't worry, this is Kastrid. She's going to take us to the dredges on account of that's probably where it is.
Those were literally the 3 worst things you could have said.
Thanks.
We're doing our best,
hoping
sir.
that we would arrive and find you along with Lieutenant Marlowe with the pin here. But you have informed me that he is gone with the pin elsewhere.
I mean, it really makes you question the level of leadership in this battalion.
It sure would, wouldn't it? I don't blame you. Well, we had been informed that we have received some compromised intel and that a mission to House Demonstrata
would in fact be a fruitless journey and was nothing but a ploy to get us out into the city.
Told
That
you.
explains a
Told you.
lot, actually.
Look at Lacan and go, stop it, stop it.
Uh,
Being a
I tried to
big-
tell them, General, that it was pointless.
We
I
were
recognized it right away that it was a fruitless mission.
you seem to be a sharp one,
Absolutely.
Cadet Demonstrata. Oh, I just saw the connection. Well, we are launching an investigation as to how this information infiltrated our ranks. So far, no fucking clue. But we are working on it.
seems like it was probably Marlowe.
Yes, about Lieutenant Marlowe. Thank you for bringing that up. After leaving, we noticed that everyone but Marlowe had brought their personal belongings with them. We found that rather strange, so we wanted to check in and see what it is that's happening with him.
Where did he leave his personal belongings?
We're back in the Order Under. He didn't bring them with him here.
That was weird.
So is he going back for them, or is it a suicide mission? Who is Marlowe? Did you guys ever even learn anything about him before you hired him?
We did. There is extensive history
Huh.
that was in fact verified.
Hmm.
So with all of this in play, we were under suspicion that if we were to show up and Marlowe was not present, we have reason to believe that we are dealing with an imposter.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Exquisite editing, Anna.
Thank you.
The timing is unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you. Were any of you suspicious of Lieutenant Marlowe before that?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, just me?
He seemed like a regular power trippy middle management type.
I think there were a couple moments for me. One was when me and Zarnus were outside, but then when he was like, I'll hang on to the pin, and then us going to House Demonstrata in the first place, or on our way to it, there were like some dialogue moments that were a little sussy to me.
Nice.
It's also, I mean, Lieutenant Basterfield thinks that this might have been an imposter, so then is the real Lieutenant Marlowe the one that we're suspicious of, or an imposter? Lots of really delicious questions.
Nummy.
We have gone very late. We only have one clip left in the show. And then I think
One clip left! One clip left!
And I think after that we'll take some time to just discuss, but this is where we're getting to the point where this is what the players have left off with. You know, we did a little bit of the just setting the scene, we did a little bit of the lore, and these last couple clips are really getting you up to speed with, as far as the players are concerned, what questions we're going into the show to start with. So finally, as I mentioned, Kastrid sent us to the sick dog. After we have an automatic note taker that says we go through some confusion and negotiation with the bartender that took about an hour, and in order to enter the dredges. Then we get accosted by a group of people who aren't welcoming to us because we're upsiders. We end up in a fight. We tell them that we're with Kastrid. They don't believe us, and we fight until Kastrid shows up, and she's like, "Whoa, they're with me," and we're like, "Cool, thanks." And that's where this clip begins.
I want to bring you down here. Initially to kill you, but now just to plant some seeds of precaution.
For what?
Down here in the dregs, we keep to ourselves. We have our way of life. You have yours up there. Down here is not the shiniest, prettiest place, I'll admit, but this is home. This is home to many families. This is home to many people. Which is why when upsiders show up unannounced, my guild that protects this sector, they get on their guard and they dispose of whoever may be deemed a threat.
I guess I can respect that. Did you say Lacan's family stole this from you? Or it was just stolen?
Well, anytime something this old is stolen, it most likely is going to that house.
Something like what?
Well, I'm sure your orders were to protect this because they believe it is from the before times, from before the sky fell, before everyone came down here.
Right.
Right. Which it is, but that doesn't mean it's theirs.
Hey, Strud, what is this? Why does everyone want it?
As far as why everyone wants it, I mean, anything that can hint as to what happened, why it happened, everyone's curious.
But why would that mean that we had to steal it from each other? Couldn't we just work together and figure it out?
This is information. This could be a clue. This could be a key. And depending on who you ask, different people will have different ideas of what to do with that information. I keep it for myself because it is simply mine. It always has been. I'm not looking to solve any mysteries or it's just this was given to me by my.
So this is probably my bad because I had a version of this clip that I was like, I'll just talk through the setup and then we'll just play this short clip. But then this morning I was like, no, I'm going to edit it. So I edited a longer, more complete version that I didn't have to talk through as much setup with. And so now it's kind of spoiled anyway because you've already seen a lot of that clip. But the Red Wizard of Production blesses me with his flexibility and is going to look for the longer clip so that you guys can watch the edited version, which instead of anyway, hopefully it'll be worth it. Hopefully it'll be worth it. But
I believe it'll be worth
excited
it.
to see the fruits of your labor.
Thank you.
Anna, you
Thank
worked so hard. And
Yeah.
almost to the finish
Seriously?
line.
This has been
I
helpful
wanna
for
see
me.
it.
I'm like, oh yeah, all
Yeah.
this happened. Cool.
Yeah.
It's
Me
good to
too.
know.
too.
It's like been an episode of Oprah, honestly. Like the amount of production has been so good.
Thank you. I'm really glad. It was really helpful for me too, because there was a lot of stuff I had forgotten. And I guess actually the one thing that I can do setup wise before we get that video going is I did write out whose hands the pin have been in because it was very confusing to me. Marlo gave it to Cassia when he went inside. Bandit stole it from Cassia. Luna got it back, gave it to Cassia. Actually, Luna gave it to Marlo.
I take full responsibility for how messy the pin movement was.
Well, I think it's kind of fun. Luna gave it back to Marlo and said it was open because of the bandits, by the way. She really covered for you, Cassia.
Oh my God, bless.
Marlo and Cassia decided to share a room so that they could both keep an eye on the pin. But then we forgot Marlo has it and said Cassia had it, but either way, it was in that room. Then Kastrid stole it from Cassia. Then Luna got it back by being nice to Kastrid. Then Cassia said Luna should keep it. Then someone stole it during the middle of the night from Luna. That's where we are. And then Kastrid said, it must be in the dredges. You should go there. I'll meet you there. I'll help you find it because usually that's where those things end up. And that is where we start this clip.
I ran long with those errands. I should have been more hasty. I didn't think the boys would find you so quickly.
You didn't think they'd find us? You didn't give us any kind of prepper. Thanks, Kastrid.
This definitely would have fallen under things to warn us about, or maybe give us a password to deal with.
I'm glad you all made it in one piece, kind of. These are
I'm just
the
spitting blood.
dregs.
I'm like looking at the hole in my side. Yeah.
Okay, can you take us where we need to go?
We're here.
Well,
You've come down here for the artifact, yes?
Mm-hmm.
You see her reach into her pocket and take out the pin.
okay.
Well, that's just rude.
I'm gonna glare at the pin and glare at her.
She says, for what it's worth, someone else did break into your rooms. Most likely whoever it was posing as your friend and stole what they thought was this.
So you had it all along?
It did.
Why did you
It
want to?
seemed like it seemed like it wasn't all that safe in your hands. So I was sure that they had something to walk away with before realizing, probably too late.
Then why did you want us to come down here?
I wanted a chat where the Order Under would not have any ears. You, looking to you holding your hand out, she like almost goes to put in your hand, and then you are of House Demonstrata, correct?
For better or worse.
It was for your family's keeping that this was stolen from me.
Well, obviously they didn't do a very good job.
No, they did not.
What would you like in return for it?
Just for you to listen.
He puts his hands in his pockets, then turns, spits up more blood. Goes, I'm listening.
This was taken from me months ago. I was saddened that something that had been in my family for so long had disappeared. So when I had heard that there is a mission from the Order Under to bring this to House Demonstrata, I figured, oh, this is great way to steal back, lure them here, kill them, all even Stevens. You know what I mean?
You wanted to kill, you were going to kill us?
What you represented when this one points at Luna, says, showed me a kindness and compassion that well, that was enough to remind me, hey, these are just kids. They're doing what they have to do. So I pivot.
Did you say Lacan's family stole this from you? Or it was just stolen?
Well, anytime something this old is stolen, it most likely is going to that house.
Something like what?
Well, I'm sure your orders were to protect this because they believe it is from the before times, from before the sky fell, before everyone came down here.
Right.
Right. Which it is, but that doesn't mean it's theirs.
Kastrid, what is this? Why does everyone want it?
Anything that can hint as to what happened, why it happened. Everyone's curious.
But why would that mean that we had to steal it from each other? Couldn't we just work together and figure it out?
This is information. This could be a clue. This could be a key. And depending on who you ask, different people will have different ideas of what to do with that information. I keep it for myself because it is simply mine. It always has been. I'm not looking to solve any mysteries or It's just this was given to me by my mother, her mother before her, etc. Everyone wants this just to paint their own narrative, to make their own story and assumptions about what had happened.
Why does it even matter? At this point, it was so long ago.
Perhaps it is easier, rather than constantly herding sheep into one place, scare them into not leaving. They paint the Underdark as this hellish wasteland, and that anywhere outside of your walls, built by the cooperative, are certain death. It's rough out there, of course. It is not without its dangers, but there's more to it. There's people. There are families. There are homes. There are those who exist outside of the cooperative, outside of your prefectures.
We know a bunch of people who just left and didn't come back. Is there something else out there we should know about?
There's a whole world out there. Perhaps you'll see it soon.
Kastrid. In one conversation, you've revealed to us more information than the entirety of the top brass in every conversation. If my family took that pin from you, then I'm authorized to give it back to you and apologize.
I hope our paths cross again one day. But she hands the pin back over to you, Lacan, and says, carry out your mission. Never hurts to make a good impression with the ranks. And be cautious, be curious.
Lacan closes his hand over the pin and says, I promise to bring this back when we're done with it.
And that is the final clip of our prologue show. So Kastrid had it all along, but then she gave it back to Lacan, seeing something in us, apparently. That
I forgot about the fake pin. I was just like, that's how I made it. That's how that worked. I remember now. It makes total sense. I take back my apology. That was correct.
Wait, so was the fake pin just like an illusion?
No, it was just a fake. It was just a fake thing. Because knowing that somebody was gonna steal it in the night, they took that.
Right. Gotcha. So, that's where the party is left. We have lots of questions about who to trust. We have had our eyes opened to that the Underdark outside might not be as uniformly bad as we've been led to believe. We have an above artifact that we take back to the military and do not report. Lacan tells them that it was lost and keeps it. We badger a password out of Kastrid so that whenever we go to the dredges again, we use our password, which is Baksteski, which means cheers. I guess in Vistani, Nate?
Who knows?
Cool. And yeah, what are you guys going into the premiere thinking and feeling and wondering about?
One, you just reminded me that we also had, in case of identity theft or doppelgangers, established a group password, which of course I will not reveal here because it could be doppelgangers in the audience, of course.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Definitely not because I don't remember it. And second of all, Cass, at the end, it was so cool because it was kind of like this final arc with everybody coming together. And then like everyone kind of like asked a question like in sync and like all these follow-ups. And like, Cassie, you were so like assertive and just like, yeah, what the fuck? And I'm like, whoa! Like, because you had been like this like second guessing and like interesting voice and perspective, and then it was just kind of this like moment where y'all just stood shoulder to shoulder against Kastrid. Like, I don't know, it felt unanimous. I don't know if that was your experience though. I just liked how you delivered those lines at the end.
No, there was a part, I think that session where we had all come out of like a hole in the ground basically and come up in this new like area before we met up with Kastrid, and we saw, I don't remember the specifics, but we basically saw some shady figures, and you guys all stood in front of Cassia and like, oh, that's gonna make me cry. And it just was like, oh wow, like such a beautiful protection that like I think that combined with like this like confusion about the killing and what is this all for, like finding like now it's like extremely personal, like this little pin thing is causing so much damage, and if it's gonna affect these people that now are like becoming more than just like bunk me, it's like, yeah, I think I'm glad that it came across that it's like a new strength forming, because it has to.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Bo, going into it with anything?
I think moving forward, it's been really helpful to watch these clips because I can kind of see Kadal's progression and feeling comfortable in a group and trying to figure out who he is, because I don't think that he had an opportunity to, and I don't think I had an opportunity to as much as I wanted to, and I think that there were just some inhibitors, but I think that moving forward into this next session, I'm just excited to really start feeling like I have that opportunity to kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is this recap was really helpful into figuring out what the next direction is for Kadal and who he is going to be and who I want him to be and who he wants to be.
I'm personally just really stoked to find out what's next. Like, I feel like there's so much delicious mystery that we've been presented, and I feel like because of the way, Nate, you made this training arc, I feel so much more grounded in the scene. Like, I feel like usually when I start a D&D show, they're like, you know, you're in the military, you're this crew, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, I have so many questions. I don't really understand why I'm here or what I'm doing. But now our bunk room actually feels like home. We know where the mess hall is. I already have a mental picture of what the infirmary looks like, you know, so I'm really excited. I've never gone into a D&D show with this much understanding of where I'm starting. So I do want to emphasize, if you're tuning in or having your friends tune in, you don't need to know all of this stuff. But as players, I think that knowing all of this stuff is going to help us make an even better show. That's my thought.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think Nate's a really good DM. That's why I cast him in this show.
Thanks. As long as y'all are having fun, that's my goal with this.
He doesn't like being hyped up that much, but I would say that I have played with a lot of the best DMs in the world, and I count him among them.
It's kind of crazy.
Points off for this.
It's kind of crazy and lucky that Christina and I, the experience, like for me at least, I'm not gonna speak for Christina, but like,
no, speak for me.
My experience and my exposure to D&D and DMing and how it's supposed to be, how it ideally is played, has been with Perkins and Nate, and also has worked with Perkins. So it's like, it's so crazy that I get such a cool privilege of like legitimate D&D and how the world building and how the storytelling operates at such a high level is so helpful and fun for me. And I think there's these like, I don't know if it's intentional, but it feels like there have been these safety parameters for me to figure out who I am as a character, as a player, what works, what doesn't work, and it continues to kind of get wider and wider. And for me, it's nice because I'm like I've said before, I require permission for a lot of decisions that I make, but I'm starting to feel more like I don't need that permission. I can just make the decision, and the DM Nate is just like, okay, and this is where it leads, and that's what led to such an emotional scene for us in the very beginning too. And I think that's been really fun, and it's cool to dive into this with you guys, specifically with you guys.
I am very, very happy with this cast. I mean, watching back these many hours of our first few sessions has just made me more and more convinced that this is going to be a great show. I'm very excited about it. Before I go into kind of giving people the heads up about what to watch for next and how to engage with the community, anything else that anyone wanted to point out or tidbits they wanted to share or things they want to tell the audience to watch for?
Watch for in the
yeah
show?
Yeah. If you don't have any, then that's great. I did my job with this show.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All I'll say is we end every show like in the after call, just being like, I had so much fun. I can't wait to do this again. So I hope that comes through. Watching it back, I had so much fun watching us as if I were an audience. And yeah, all I have to say is it was cool seeing the growth of our group together, where we kind of went from like 4 strangers to like, I don't know, a pretty cohesive little unit with some secrets and some loyalties, but also a lot of awkwardness to work through still. So it feels new and fresh if you're just joining us, but I really feel like you guys got to see something special if you hung out and you saw all the stuff that Anna put together for us today.
Yeah, this whole thing was a fantastic recap of not just like, oh, here's what happened. Like, it's very good, just overall, like, showing what it's going to be like. And I very much look forward to seeing how your characters venture through what I think might happen. Because as a DM, I always say, like, I have this planned, when the reality is, like, with the way I want to DM, it's like, yeah, this is likely what's to happen, but you never know what could, derail. There was an entire season of DCA that just completely went off the rails of what Chris Perkins had planned. He's like, okay, I guess everything I planned goes out the window and we're doing this. And that's what I hope to convey, that flexibility, but at the same time, I have a general idea of what I think will occur over the first season, and I think it will be very interesting.
I fully trust that.
I cannot off what Rachel was saying and watching ourselves back, I was thinking, I don't remember who said this to me or where I heard it, but it was like, people are always hesitant to say that they enjoy watching their own stuff when they're entertainers. But like if Gordon Ramsay makes himself a sandwich, he's going to eat and enjoy the sandwich. So like, I'm watching this back and the whole time I was like, this is a sandwich. Like, I am enjoying watching back this thing that we have made. I am consuming the fruits of our labor and I really like it. So good sandwiches, y'all.
And it was so helpful for, like, literally for everyone here right now, the viewers and us. It was so helpful to recap and just see. I know I'm like reiterating, but just to see what's been happening. It's helpful for how we're moving forward in our relationships with each other too. And
yeah,
I'm really excited for that. I'm so excited, you guys. This is gonna be cool.
I'm so excited. And I feel like if that was like a really good sandwich, it feels like the community that's already happening in the Discord and even on Reddit is like the most delicious mayonnaise ever. Like,
y'all
I
are
can't
made.
believe, like,
all the condiments.
Seeing
do not let that one stick. Oh, please.
What?
Nope. Don't even think about it again.
No. Okay. Anyways.
That time.
I'm thinking about it.
Doily Squad was better.
Stick
Stick with Doily Squad. Stick with Doily Squad. They like to name themselves Christina, and I don't want them to call themselves mayonnaise. And now that I'm making a big
I meant
deal out
mustard.
Of it. Okay,
you
that's
guys
maybe
are like
better.
The best ketchup. No, I don't know. I thought we were B84 or whatever we are.
We are. We're Troop B84. Anyways, on that note, to close things out, because it has been, I mean, we're at like 3 hours, 40 minutes, which has gone by so fast.
and I'm so proud and thank you. But to go off what Christina said, this show, I am the producer of this show and the person who cast this show. The reason that I did that is I've had some amazing experiences with D&D shows that many of you have watched in the past, like Dice Camera Action and Misclicks even, where the reason that I love doing D&D shows is because it is the only place that I've ever experienced this kind of like massively multiplayer storytelling where, you know, we're telling the story, but because you're sharing your thoughts in chat and you're sharing fan art, it's influencing how I see this character that belongs kind of to all of us. So it was so important to me that this show be built on the foundation of community. So for everyone who's already joined the Discord, for everyone who's hanging out with us in chat and leaving comments, for everyone who is already contributing things like fan art and cosplay and animatics, those things are already helping us write the story. And it means so much to me that you're doing that. So please keep doing that. And if you are enjoying being part of this community, please bring other people into the community. It just like the more voices we have, I think the more vibrant the story becomes. So I really appreciate all of you who are doing that and telling the story with us already. Along those same lines, in order to kind of keep a record of the show and also to share the show more, we really want to be pulling clips from all of the shows. And so if you found a moment really exciting or really fun, please do clip that. And I mean, even the clip existing is great, but if you could share it with us on social media at StonesThrow RPG or in the StonesThrow Discord, even better. We have an entire forum that's for fan art, and we have a clips. I think. Oh no, we're doing. Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Discord, we're doing every episode has its own discussion thread where you can put clips for that episode.
Yeah, I was thinking that's a good way to make sure that there are no spoilers if you don't want them yet.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And follow along with us on social media on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at StonesThrow RPG. If you want to get notified, be sure to follow or subscribe and hit that notification. A stream session in the future. Sawsbucky asks, how long would it be? This is the longest stream you're probably going to see from us. An episode will usually be about 2 hours. We don't play longer than that. So, did I miss anything?
Next week
will be our premiere episode. So we will start with actual role play, playing the show in character. And I just want to give a huge shout out to our Red Wizard, our production. Incredible work today. I threw so much at you.
Guy in the chair.
The guy in the chair.
Let's go.
Even with holidays and traveling and tech issues, this was very, very smooth and incredible, and I really appreciate it. Okay, well, next week, 7 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday, the same place you are right now. We'll see you there. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, guys.